Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Talk on the United Public Radio, formerly known as the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It's about 5:21 in the afternoon and raining down here in New Orleans as per usual. As we go into the spring, it's going to be, well, wet. It's the only way I can say it. Anyway, I'm just teasing with it, but I hope everybody's having a great day today, wherever you are on a big planet. I mean, I know there's a lot going on. There's always 5 tons of stuff going on in everybody's lives these days. Even though we're all camping out at home, watching the world go by. A friend of mine asked me a question this morning. He sent me a text. He said, "Is there any way I'm going to ever get my 2 years back that I've lost?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "The last 2 years, can the government compensate me for it?" I was like, "What are you talking about? Can the government compensate you for the last 2 years?" I don't. Well, all I can say is no. It's 2 years spent, burnt. Whatever you did in these last year and a half, 2 years, is just what it is. There's no reclaiming them. It's over and it's done with, and move on. But hey, it's got a lot of research got done. Well, a lot of in-house research got done this year because there wasn't much in the field research going on. Not in like anybody's homes or stuff like that. We were out in Golf Breeze yesterday doing a little research, but for the most part, most people it's either way outside somewhere or, in your own home. Not many people want you walking around their house right now with COVID around. So anyway, I'm going to let Michelle introduce herself, and then Del can introduce herself, and I'll be right back, and then I'll be on camera.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle DeRoche, and you can find me here on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, 8 to 10 Central, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, on the Outer Realm Radio with myself and Amelia Pisano.
And me. You can find me Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Keep on remember, it's Tuesdays now. We've moved from Monday to Tuesdays. The Delicious Recipe, and talk about mystery, conspiracy, and world issues.
Yay! So I think we're talking about angels, demons, aliens, and I think that's going to be quite fascinating to see what everybody's perspective is on that.
Right, and I guess the proof of if they really do exist, right?
That's a hard one to see. I mean, you probably have a better chance of because there's just so many people who've had alien experiences between experiencers, contactees, abductees. There's a lot of documented cases, but I mean, it's not like an alien's going to drop by on your doorstep anytime soon. But to try to prove something like angels and demons, which some people do believe are aliens also, so that kind of is a fine line. But I don't know, because that's what I do, is I help people, who have alleged demonic experiences. And I don't know that there's anything specific to prove their existence. I've got hours and hours and hours of EVPs, which are, for people who don't know, electronic voice phenomena. So they're voice recordings of some sort. I get growling, and you get a lot of different frequencies and things like that. But is it definitive proof? I don't know that you can consider it definitive proof. Eyewitness accounts on both, angelic and demonic levels, there are plenty. But again, that's tough. How do you prove something like that?
That's a good question. So, well, how about this? Well, what are we going to use for the standards of evidence?
There we go.
So the real question is here, when it comes to any of this, we're going to use the standards of evidence in a court of law. If that's the case, then paranormal ufology was proved a long time ago. If we're going to use standards of science, well, that's a whole different ball game there. That opens up a whole new can of wax now. There have been some things in Harvard, Cambridge, way back in the day, have categorized as maybe being real. Some paranormal stuff, like some telepathic abilities, they consider real. And then remember, they did the case, the Texas College, what's her name? The one the demon was following around, raping her, just abusing the crap out of her for years. They actually brought her to a college and investigated that. So those are physical, tangible, investigations.
Oh, the entity.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So those things you can kind of say, all right, well, we've looked at this, and there does seem to be some physical as well as psychological evidence here and some video evidence here. So that's a pretty good case. And there is some other evidence, but for some reason, ever since what's his name said, extraordinary claims takes extraordinary evidence, it's been like you can't prove anything anymore. Nobody. You're like, well, I don't know. What's extraordinary evidence? Oh, you mean that big UFO saucer thing? I got a picture of it in my house. Well, that's not extraordinary evidence. What the hell is it then? Oh, it's circumstantial. Well, how the hell is circumstantial? A big, huge disc floating over somebody's house. Okay. Circumstantial. Oh, maybe the ones that the Air Force launched investigations into or sent chase planes after. People forgot this, but from about 55 up until about 75, we sent chase planes after UFOs on a regular basis. I mean, the best pilots, fastest chase planes we had, we sent after them. They couldn't even get close to them.
Well,
but for some reason, it never comes up. Go ahead.
Well, wasn't it? Was it 1947 or 57 when they had those unidentified flying objects over the Capitol building? And there was like thousands and thousands of people saw these lights in the middle of the nighttime right over the U.S.
Well, yeah, you had the 55. Well, what's interesting about that is you had the 50 sighting in 1950, and then in 2000, July of 2000, almost to the day, you had an identical sighting. It was like a 50-year anniversary. It was almost like ET just showed up and did it. It was crazy. It was same type of craft, same area. It just popped up, hovered around for a while, and then took off. Now, we all know, if you're an American citizen, even if you're not an American citizen, D.C., they have missile launchers all over D.C. You can actually see some when you go through. There are places, you'll be driving along through D.C., through the woods, some pretty park, and all of a sudden you'll see, oh my shit, and God, there's a missile launcher there with 4 missiles on it. They're like, really? And you kind of think, oh, maybe it's fake. Oh, no, it's real. They got guards around and shit, and it's crazy. I see some strange woman in the queue with us. Do y'all know this woman?
Oh.
The Canadian lockdown woman. Oh, shit, man. Trouble's coming now.
Well, even the point, there is written documentation that's been released in, I guess, whatever, when you ask for requests for information across the world where some sort of unidentified aircraft or phenomenon has happened where it has taken the power out of military operations and temporarily, and then allowed them to come back on after they've disappeared. And that's the whole thing that a lot of the UFO investigations is about, is dealing with military installations with basically we can shut you down whenever we want to, which is sort of an interesting thing.
Think about it. And that's an excellent thing. You went in 63, 67, UFO parks over one of the most advanced nuclear facilities in the world, shuts the whole facility down. Nobody can do anything. Nothing works. Nothing can get in or out. It just sits there. Obviously, if it would have had weapons, it could have easily destroyed the facility. It sure shut it down like it was nothing. And it didn't shut it down in a way that harmed it because it came back up. When it left, it came back up. So it was like a temporary EMP, whereas a real EMP would have messed it up. This was more like a temporary effect. Shut all the electric stuff shut down. But it was worse than that because they couldn't even manually crank. See, there's a way to manually fire missiles. You couldn't even use the manual cranks. Even they wouldn't work. So this was far beyond a technology that, sorry about it, Lord. I thought I'd let you in. This is far beyond any technology that would just be like an EMP. I don't know what it was. Somehow or another, it had the ability to just stop our technology. Matter of fact, if I remember what the guard said correctly, one of them went to take a shot at the UFO with his rifle, and it just went poof. It didn't shoot anything. It was like the bullet didn't ignite. He said it sounded like the cap ignited, but not the bullet. And ladies, if you know what I'm talking about, bullets have a firing cap inside the gunpowder charge. They ignite the charge. It's just a little tiny cap, and it's inside the bullet. And when the tip hits it, it ignites that cap, and the cap ignites the gunpowder, and that shoots it, and it ignites the bullet. But in this case, it didn't seem to happen. It just seemed to dampen. It was some type of dampening field. Didn't let any of our technology work. And right there, that had the U.S. military had to go. Let me see now. We can't use our electronics. We can't use our mechanicals. We can't even fire chemical propelled guns. We can't even run Jeeps that run on gasoline. Nothing seemed to work. If you're a government, a military, you have to be panicked at this time. Oh my God, the Russians got something. We're done. It's over with. Final count.
So what did the conclusion ever come out to it? Did they say that it was an unknown, or was it another country? What was
actually? they said in both cases it happened. It happened a few times, but the two big cases they said it was fatal flaws in the system, and there was no UFO. That was the official thing. Also, this happened in Russia too, by the way. The Russia's most two also came to the same conclusion. It was a flaw in the system itself. Okay, so that shut everything down. Your jeeps, your guns. I mean, come on. So sometimes when the governments give these ridiculous explanations, it just makes you even wonder more. So right then and there, okay, they're lying. Anybody with any common sense or anybody knows anything about how vehicles work or electric knows that just because you shut down the computer doesn't mean the gun's not going to fire.
Okay, so even getting back to that, right? So there was also people that witnessed this and saw this and relayed this information. And this gets back into this thing about how do you prove angels, demons, exist or in a court of law or scientifically. Now, if the government's willing to say that, hey, this is due to our technology a flaw, but also there's also personal eyewitnesses of this event happening, how do you prove that so that everyone would believe?
Well, here's a better question for you. There were X amount of eyewitnesses.
Are you answering a question with a question?
Yeah, well, no. I'm going around the question. There's another question that's going to answer your question. Okay, it's kind of a tilt around way. So if I seen you shoot somebody, or if I just seen you walking in the field, but 30 of us said we saw Dell shoot this man, your ass is going to prison, my friend. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to do 30 years. They're going to base it on our 13 people's and they're not even going to take a glance. Oh yeah, well they seen it. But if those same 13 people were at that military base and saw that UFO, what they get labeled nut jobs, or crazies, or they were on drugs or something. So we have a double standard of evidence is what we have in the United States now. So the same evidence that can put you in jail for life is not good enough to say there was a flying saucer over your house. Think about it. I mean, Arizona, there was 11,000 people seeing it, and everybody still gives it a thumbs up.
That's what I was going to say. It's not even a double standard in the U.S. It's around the world.
Oh, it is around the world. Yeah.
When it comes to the government, military, the people don't matter. It doesn't matter. But you're right. If 30 people seeing somebody else do something, you can bet for damn sure they're going to jail for life if you shot somebody.
There's a case there in Africa where a UFO landed in a schoolyard, and all the kids of the school, plus all the teachers and people of the town, saw this thing land in the schoolyard. There was like over 100 witnesses, and they all drew the exact same picture of what they saw in independent questioning afterwards, and that's been inconclusive.
Yeah, because they want it to be inconclusive. They don't want to take it seriously. They don't care. Look, we've got military pilots that have given sworn testimony. We've got Air Force pilots that have given sworn testimony. We got commercial pilots. We got policemen. We got firemen. We got people whose character is unapproachable, and we still think they're lying to us. I mean, there have been people who have seen these things up close that you can go through their whole life. I don't even know if they've ever even told a lie in their life. But all of a sudden, they saw something they can't explain in the sky, and they're a crazy or they're a nutter. And even in today's society, in 2021, even when we know the odds that we're going to find life in our solar systems increase immensely, we still don't want to accept the fact it is possible.
No, okay.
Bigger, better, and brighter. Good.
Michael Roser and I were discussing this last Monday. The CIA supposedly declassified the UFOs and ET files. There was no pictures, there's no video, there was so much redaction. So what are we saying there with the government, with the alphabet soups? Then that, we're going to give you a little taste because too many people are seeing it? Or what's your thoughts on that? Because they really didn't say much of anything.
Well, the problem is the president or the former president said, you got to release these documents. Mm-hmm. So they said, okay, we're going to go through this, and as long as it doesn't have certain keywords in it, we will release it. Yeah, a lot of times, even if we release it, a lot of times there's a bunch of black writing a bunch of black marking all over.
Yeah, redaction.
Yeah, so you're not going to always get it, and they did get a command from the president, so they had to release something. And the fact that they even have anything speaks volumes. When you contact the government and ask them, the Freedom of Information Act people, how many documents they have, there's like 60 million documents on UFOs. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, for something that doesn't exist, man, that's a lot of documentation.
Our government guy came out there labeling with dementia, Paul Hellyer, right? He
Mhm.
even signed under oath. He's but because he's in his late 80s, probably almost early 90s now, and he's as sane as the day is long listening to him. But he's got dementia, doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, I've met Paul on a couple of occasions. We've talked, we've had
Mhm.
long, extended periods of conversations. He's kind of impressed on the people I knew that he knew. And he's an interesting character. And he said that he knew from the get-go that only certain people were going to believe him. He said this wasn't for the UFO community. This was about letting people in other positions know that you can speak out about this without there being harmful repercussions to you. Now, granted,
Depends what you consider harmful, because
but he's retired. But he retired. That's what he said. He said, I'm retired, so this isn't going to ruin my livelihood. They're not going to take my pension away.
Right.
So he knew that. So he was safe. Now, for us, or people who are still working, it's a different story. If you're active in anything, you're putting your head on a chopping block to be criticized. And he did. He took a lot of criticism over this. A lot of CNN, ABC reporters tore him up. And he's like, no. He said, come on, guys. And he was smart about it, because we were in D.C. at the Washington Press Club, and I was interviewing Edgar Mitchell at the time. And this reporter's giving him 5 tons of shit. And he turned around and said, he just looked at it and said, let me ask you something, Mr. Reporter. He said, honestly, which one of the two of us would actually have a better idea if UFOs are real? You who works for CNN, or me who's a farmer? And the guy just kind of paused and then went back into a spew. And I walked over and I said, you didn't even answer the man's question. I said, obviously, this guy would know. You wouldn't. You're a damn reporter for CNN. They don't know anything.
Minister for Canada. That's what it was, I believe. Correct me, you guys, if I'm wrong, but I think that
he had a military, whatever he was, military minister.
Mm.
Yeah, well, he was a advisor for the defense for the military in Canada.
Honorable.
Yeah, but the other thing comes, so we got the alien part there. Now comes into the question, and we get into angels and demons. Now, how do you go and explain these things of occurrences that happen that you cannot prove because there was no camera there, or someone's been in, say, a major accident out there, and
you should get thrown 15 feet across the kitchen like you did.
That's because you got a Canadian wife. We know what caused that now.
Hey, I had one spirit in that house that looked like me.
Maybe I seen Michelle Papa the other day. I thought she knocked him out for a minute there.
I did not. He came running down the stairs and said, did you just come upstairs and smack me twice across the back? And this was my exact answer. First of all, he's been to 100 more concerts than I have. He has the hearing of somebody with a hearing aid. He would have heard me coming up the stairs. And second of all, why would I come upstairs and smack him super hard and then run down? Don't answer that joke, because I know what you're going to say.
I didn't say anything. I mean, no, you see people abuse. I say, mind my own business.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking.
She did. She took my form a couple times and smacked him. But sorry, Del, I cut you off, but you were asking how can you prove it? I don't know if you can prove it except with people's accounts of what happens to them. But Michelle, I'd love to hear your answer too.
I don't know that we were talking about that a little bit on the intro. I don't know that there is any way to prove it. I mean, you can see there's a lot of video out there which shows objects being moved around, tables, furniture. That could be like amazing psychokinesis, or it could be definitely something that's strong enough to move it. A lot of spirits don't have the energy, allegedly, to move large pieces of furniture around. Demonic allegedly do have the energy to move large pieces of furniture around. I think the key comes into, are we dealing with what some people will look at angels and demons as being different types of VT? So, ufologists will tell you.
The smell. Have you ever encountered? I'm sure you have. I got a big dog, and it'll smell like in our old house, like 1,000 number 2s that a dog that size is gone. And then with it, it's so revolting. You're gagging, even just being a nurse and smelling putrid things. It's that bad. And then 2 seconds later, gone.
Okay. So getting back to the question I was asking here. So we get into this part about the angels and demons and that, and people saying in an account that there's been some sort of angel or some sort of entity that has removed them from a catastrophe, whether it was a car accident or a room exploding or a house catching on fire, and investigation afterwards found is that there was no possible way that that person could have gotten out. The door was locked. It was sealed. They would have been crushed. They would have been dead. And the person is perfectly fine, sort of waking up in a haze safely somewhere else.
Pictures.
How would you prove that as a thing of some sort of divine intervention or spiritual or extraterrestrial intervention?
It's happened. I mean, you hear stories about it all the time. Every now and then, there'll be photographs. I've seen a couple of photographs taken by police officers or emergency response people where they take a photo of, let's say, a vehicle, and there's this white, like it looks like a white form, a humanoid. We don't really know. I've heard of an accident recently where there was like a dark shadow that went across it just before there was a wreck killing both people in the car. So was that a Grim Reaper type? These things do exist. I mean, God, I've got probably 300 hours of voice recordings of things that are questionable, like, growling and speaking in Aramaic and other tongues. And they're definitely things that exist out there. But without capturing like a full-blown photograph or video and being able to authenticate it, I think that makes it so difficult, because we know miracles happen every single day. I mean, we're on a planet, if you think about it, look at our solar system, look at everything that this planet has to give naturally. It is a miracle in itself, but proving it, that's a whole other thing. That's not easy.
Two favorite videos out there with this question that you asked, and even some of the EVPs from our house. I mean, they were live when you called in. It wasn't a ghost box. They were using radio waves. Like these were Class A EVPs. Saying,
yeah, I've got all kinds of them, hundreds of hours.
Exactly. But these two videos, and again, it was one of them in ET. One of them was a guy had a security camera, and he was a mechanic, and he's laying on his back working under this huge transport rig. It fell onto him and crushed him. He didn't die, but there's two lights caught on camera, and you can see the trucking.
That's the kind of evidence you need. And will the world look at it as evidence? Like Joe was saying earlier, the scientific community
another one
is one thing,
I have another one, and then is this an ET or what is it? And it's famous. It went viral. It's off a Chinese traffic cam. And there's old man riding along on his bicycle. And as he's crossing, this white van comes and the guy stops. He thinks he hit the guy, but as the guy's crossing, he should have been dead, like smacked. Something comes across on the camera. There's a blur. The guy's on the end of the side of the road. The guy that thought he hit him stopped, and he's looking everywhere. There's somebody in a hoodie with black jeans. Their hands are glowing. They stick their hands in their pocket and they walk off the side of the screen. What was that? An ET? An angel?
Time traveler? See, that's one thing where ET it can go back and forth in time, which allows them to, we find even in clearing or doing anything remotely, when we're dealing with ET, they can go back and forth in time and they can see everything you're doing, techniques. It's so easy for them to come back, tweak it, work around it. I'm sure any interdimensional being can do that, but are we dealing with a time traveler in that case?
I was wondering, or why this man, like in the middle of China, in the middle of the night on a traffic cam, that it was caught. It went viral. And their hands are glowing. Like, and again, are they time travelers? What are they?
Yeah, I don't know.
See, now this comes into this question of purpose and destiny and stuff like that. Now, why would that person be saved? Now, it's like if you look at that thing of a butterfly effect, this person being saved is going to cause the damnation of the rest of the universe, or the savior of the rest of the universe.
That's what I said. Why this guy?
A set plan here, right? This gets into really wacky quantum theory type.
It's like a domino effect. I know, like a ripple effect. Will it cause that ripple effect? It's like the prime directive on Star Trek.
Yes.
We can't interfere because it's going to leave this huge ripple effect that's going to affect everybody and everything. It's hard when you get into quantum. It's really hard.
This comes into the other part, is that you'll hear testimony of people saying that they've died, and they go up there and then they talk to some sort of entity that says, "We're sending you back. It wasn't your time yet." Now, this goes into the situation where I died in the first place if it wasn't my time. right now you're looking at questioning the value of life and the existence in the universe and stuff like that. Now, is that an actual real thing, or was that just a memory
I've
created?
studied it for 40 years. And you know what? Being a nurse, I have talked to people that have had a cardiac arrest after the fact when they've been revived. You knew getting to know them, being in the hot, say for whatever reason, they're in the hospital for a bit. They didn't have a lot of medical knowledge. You knew for damn sure they were in that room and they said they were. And I'm well aware that people can hear in a coma and, are aware of what people are saying or doing. Many of them were able to describe who came in and what they were wearing and what was grabbed. Something was dropped on the floor, what was picked up, or there's many reasons. I'm sure Michelle will agree with me. I believe why people have near-death experiences. I believe I had one as a toddler. A lot of people you find that hurts. Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, I had one. I think I agree with you on that.
Because I think what happens is, for whatever reason, most of these people, if you study some people have had what you might call a hell experience. Even I have a theory on that. But people that have had them seem to know why they're here. They seem to have great peace with death. If they were an atheist, they believe in God. Dr. Eben Alexander is a fantastic example of that. They seem to almost open up their gifts after they've had a near-death experience too. Many people I've met. I don't know what your experience is with that too, Michelle, or anybody else, but I don't think it's an accident. I think it's almost like a reminder for people, because you can't prevent everything that happens here. I don't think your life is completely planned. So people are going to, meet with an accident maybe they shouldn't have, or there's a reason why they have that experience, I believe.
That's also, up for grabs. Theoretically speaking, some people believe you do plan it out before you come here, and everybody has to agree this and that, and so there's a lot of theories involving that also. And there's theories that involve exit points, that you get 2 or 3 exit points where you can bail at any point. So I don't know. It makes it's really difficult. I believe that if you step in. Like, first off, when you're in a coma, it is believed, I've had so many people say, we don't even stay in our bodies when we sleep, let alone when you're in a coma. It's only the physical body that needs the rest. It's not the essence. So it's like parking the car in the garage at night after a day at work. You just, park it, do what you need to do. So we go back and we go home or wherever it is we travel to. So with that being said, someone having an NDE, it seemed like you die on the table. There are hospitals that have done experimentations with putting neon signs on top of their cabinets with a message, and every day they'll put a different message. So when the person comes back, and say, oh, I died, or they'll say, oh, did you see anything? Yeah, I saw something up top and this is what it said. So this has been an experiment that some hospitals have done to see who really died and what was the experience like. And I find that fascinating that the medical field or science is trying to get an understanding of it at least. So I don't know. It just opens up for more questions.
I believe what you were just, I love to hear that, Michelle, because I believe even that people with Alzheimer's, a lot of times too,
My dad going through it right now.
I'm so sorry. That's really difficult.
Oh, all right, thank you. But he sees things and he'll tell me. He'll look at a picture of an angel on television, or my mom's got an angel for him there because he loved one from home, and he goes, I see them. And she goes, oh, is that right? He goes, all the time. It's like, oh, that's good.
This comes into the question now, is that how do you prove that to the skeptic and the atheist that doesn't believe that there's any type of afterlife, or that there is any type of ghosts or ETs, and that you're just here and then you're here and then you die and then that's it, black hole. Like, I think, how do you prove that then?
Until people get their own experiences, there's nothing you can say that's going to prove it or disprove it. Because I've done interviews and done TV shows with skeptics, and it's like, I'll let you know when I get there, because beyond there is nothing really definitive within that whole realm of this, that somebody who's an atheist or a skeptic is is really going to believe. They have to have their own experience. Like when I had the experience in the haunted forest, and we had a skeptical guy with us, like hardcore skeptic, you know, and when he saw something and he pointed and he goes, I don't think that's supposed to happen. And we turned around, I was like, no, it sure in hell isn't.
Why try? You know what? If they're not ready to hear it, and it even gets into whether people are red pilled or not, you know what? There's no sense in trying to bang your head against wall, because what is it going to prove? What is it? You can't convince somebody who isn't ready to be open to it.
Everyone is entitled to their opinions. For this guy, he had an experience and it made him a believer because he could not think of any logical way to explain it. He could barely describe what he was seeing. For him, that changed him that day. But beyond that, you know, like you say, Laura, you either want to believe it, maybe you're an open-minded skeptic, but atheists, I think, you know, on their deathbed, they all of a sudden aren't so much atheists anymore. Because it's like, what if?
Like for me, I'm in I grew up in the Christian thing. I believe in God and Jesus, all that stuff. But I don't go and preach it out there. I don't believe in church or whatever, but spirituality, yes. And the thing is that me and Laura have been watching recently about off of this one channel, How to Hunt, about people having experiences with cryptids or Bigfoot or little people or dogmen out in the bush. And there's like stories going across not just North America, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories of something out there that isn't a bear or a moose or a wolf. And experiences, and there's actually talk in some of the Native American where they reserves and stuff like that, where they've actually had conversations and they've actually met these other than human, I guess you would say. And I guess the whole thing, like I go in there, it's like I haven't met it myself there, but I'm still open to the understanding that this world is big and there's so many things out there we don't understand, and there's everything's a possibility.
I like when you say that, Del, because if you think about our indigenous people and the indigenous all over the world, okay, I wonder, because they were so connected. You look at the Hopi, how they were so connected to the ant people. You look at the Inca, who were connected to their serpent gods, like ET would come down, and it started with something, but our indigenous had a real connection with the earth and with all of its beings. Like there, you can go back through oral traditions going back hundreds of years where they're talking about, let's say, Bigfoot or little people. But it's almost as though, do you think, Del, that because you've mentioned it, so I'll ask you, do you think it's because they had a certain demeanor about them? They had that healthy respect, and maybe the beings knew that there was a healthy respect, that they weren't there to try and harm them or anything of that nature compared to some of the people today?
I think the connection is that modern people today that are around now are more focused on materialism and greed and more into their technology stuff, whereas people growing up beforehand were more connected to the earth because they had to survive on that day to day. We weren't going to the grocery store or turning on the TV. They were connected by the seasons, by the weather, the temperature, everything, and how the migration of animals went. And I think there was a more cohesive interconnection there, where this allowed understanding of the natural environment a lot easier than what it is today. We're here.
Say hi, everybody, to Michael.
Hey, Michael.
I had something to add to that. I've been following Anna Breitenbach. She's like a really amazing animal communicator. Her and Layla Del Rey, she's from France, and Anna is from South Africa. But she actually took a tracking course with an Indigenous person here many years ago in actually the US, and it opened up her gifts. And there's a documentary out there to, showing.
Wait, hold on, Laura. I don't mean to interrupt you. Mike, you're turning me on with that heavy breathing, baby. You need to mute that thing and something. I'm sorry, Laura.
What?
I was like,
it's okay.
You breathing heavy. I mean, like that.
All
I'm sorry.
is
I can't even hear you. What'd you say?
No, I said that you were turning me on with that heavy breathing, man. You need to mute that mic. Yeah, I was going to tell you, Lord,
Yeah, I can't even hear you, man. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna go to the computer. Actually, I'll call back in.
All right, hit me back in. I got you.
So they actually interviewed quite a few indigenous tribes from around the world. And like to the point that this guy that was teaching her originally, she was in business and she does this full time now, but it's a gift apparently as humans. We have forgotten that we all had over 300 years ago. And every single tribe, like they were from different continents, like a lot of them didn't speak English, about being able, they get a vision of the animal they'd be tracking for the hunt. And it was almost like an agreement, but they could just touch like the animal paw print and pick up that energy, and they knew what animal it was and they'd find it, and it was incredible. But they were all talking about how we had this gift as human beings over 300 years ago, and again with what Del was saying, we've lost it. It's not uncoverable.
Think about the towers, all the power lines, these cell phone towers. You think about everything that's out there jamming our own personal signals. Because when they didn't have all of this, I think it was a lot easier for people to be more in touch with nature and the earth and frequencies and vibrations, things of that nature. Like this is a different world now. It makes it a lot harder. They don't want us to be in tune.
I totally agree with that, with that part of but also a thing that's really changed with humanity because of the movement into gatherings into bigger cities is that we eat more chemically processed foods. We have fluoride in our water. We have all this toxins that are in there. We don't eat natural anymore. We don't grow our own food. Our soils are polluted. Our air is slowly being polluted. All the stuff that we that is being sprayed, whether you want to believe in chemtrails or not, or just emissions. Period. All the stuff that's burnt out there. There's so much stuff that is different than 100 or more than 100, probably 200-300 years ago, where people lived off the land that grew stuff. Like I even remember my grandmother here in Thunder Bay when they built their house back 70, 80 years ago. They had a chicken coop in their backyard. They grew their own vegetables. They were self-sufficient. They went to the grocery store to get things that they couldn't provide themselves.
I agree with you. Everything. It's all has to do with our environment now. People will say, well, talk about fluoride. Well, what fluoride does is calcifies your pineal gland. And your pineal gland is your mind's eye, just for anybody listening who doesn't understand what we're talking about. But if you look, I did an experiment. I used to always get reverse osmosis water, tried different types of water. But when I'm eating bottled water and I'm putting it in the kettle and I'm feeding it to I'm giving it to my dogs or to cook with, put it in the raw food because the chihuahuas like it a little bit boiled, a little bit warm. But I noticed when I started putting bottled water in their water bowl, over time, the whole water bowl started to get calcified. So when I looked in the kettle, it was brand new kettle, all calcium in there. And I'm like, freaking hell, do we have to have calcium in the water? I get it if you don't drink milk, but there are supplements for that, and
it's heavy down.
It hardens your arteries. Yeah, calcifies it. And why do we have
on a side note, I didn't get my first cavity till I was 48. So
wow.
Just saying.
We got just in case, and he has a good point.
I agree with what Justin said earlier. Yes.
Yeah, in YouTube, he said this is there's plenty of evidence that small groups of people living thousands of miles apart knew each other and had contact even in Neolithic times.
Yes, exactly. See, back when you had nothing to do but be in tune with your environment and one another.
Meditation, and you had an elder, you had a shaman. You know what, I actually watched a documentary recently that was quite interesting because with mental illness, we see it usually in adolescence, and the way it's actually observed in different indigenous tribes is that would be like the calling for somebody, that it was called shaman sickness, right? And I think we've talked about this before, but no medications. You had an elder take you aside and teach you how to manage this, and it was actually the opening of their gift compared to what we see in North America or in westernized medicine.
Oh, if you go into different parts of Europe, even now, when I travel through Europe, the food is considerably different. Here in the West, we are just like, we eat a lot of crap, even in our fast food places. You can go to, let's say, I'll say a certain chicken place here that's, uses, I always call them like fuel injected chickens
Yeah.
because they grow them extra fast.
Yeah.
But you can go to that same chain. And for example, I tried one when I was in Romania, and it tasted so much different. The texture was different. Everything was different. My daughter lived in Australia, and they had a very popular arched restaurant there that we all know and love on this side of the world for the most part. Anyway, I don't eat a lot of fast food, but they had fresh produce every single day. They had to dispose of all produce that sat overnight. It would get given out to the homeless, or they didn't keep it. It just had to be certain standards to be sold to the public, and it was a lot more healthy food being sold, not the way we eat here. It's so different overseas. So different.
You'll see, like in Japan and China, you can get squid buns from McDonald's. You can actually
Or beer.
There's lots of things on menus outside of our country. You're not going to see in this country because most of them would gross out Americans, but you will see them.
Coming from the guy who will cook anything.
Hey, I'm just saying. Well, I was thinking I should meet your daughter and her husband. They live in an Aussie land. All my Aussie friends eat everything. They eat crocodile, man. They eat dingo dog and stuff. They my kind of people. We go down there and barbecue. It's a little dingo, man. When you stuff it to death.
Seriously.
I would tell you what. Who was it? Not Linda Moore. It was one of the crazy UFO people told me one time. You'll get so hungry you'll eat your dog. I said, first off, I ain't eating my chihuahuas because my chihuahuas sniff food from 800 miles away. So if there's food to be had, they won't find it. So they definitely not getting eaten because there'll be a difference between starving to death and not starving to death. And besides, there ain't enough meat in it, but to worry about.
What the Dell told me about the Golden Arches, I didn't know this. 100% real beef is actually the name of the company. That's not what it is.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a little secret about all fast food restaurants. When I was young, I managed McDonald's. You can get 100% real beef, but that's up to the management. Because what happened?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, so you can order all your product 100%. Same thing with Taco Bell. You can get all pure beef. It costs twice as much as the stuff that's cut. And it's way better for you. It's way cleaner. It's hardly the pure beef that McDonald's uses. Hardly got any cholesterol in it at all. But the problem is it costs on average 2 times as much as a regular burger does. So most of the managers, because it gets into commission. So what you find is the high dollar stores, the busy stores will use it because people don't get sick and the burgers taste way better. So it keeps them coming back. Low dollar stores just don't care. So they just use it. That's the same thing with Taco Bell. You can get the real beef or you can get the fake beef. And let me tell you what, I'm going to tell you all the secret, Bird. All the stores where you eat that fake beef from, all I can say is there's a reason they call it Taco Hell.
You like that fake beef, man. Come on.
Come on. No. Actually, I was a supervisor.
In New Orleans, it's alligator.
Stores got real beef, man. Because if I had to eat there, I wouldn't eat that nasty fake crap. Same thing at McDonald's.
Asking, don't you have vegan burgers at McDonald's in the U.S.? I don't know where he's from because I don't think we have them in Canada here.
Not at McDonald's. We have them in other places here, though.
Burger King's got the meatless Whopper. There's no meat in it at all. But it's usually
did. A&W had a plant burger for a while up here.
The real burger, they think they call it. They have that at A&W. They have it at like Tim Hortons. They have it at there's a lot of places.
Let's use the standard of proof for paranormal against
and it tastes so I don't want to say anything. I'm just fussy. I'll leave that right there. Yes.
Vegetarian. First off, most vegetarian food is nasty to start off with. Not all of it. I've eaten some that's pretty good. But for the
I could taste the vegetable in it, I guess. They taste kind of earthy to me.
I want to
but maybe they're supposed to.
I'm like the 2 old ladies on the Wendy's commercial. Where's the beef? Show me the beef. I want to see the beef.
I keep laughing at Justin Case's name because my son's name is Justin and his father wanted his middle name to be Case. No child of mine will ever.
Probably right, Justin. Unfortunately for me, or fortunately for me, I'm allergic to soy, so I can't eat anything with it in it.
Yeah, my oldest is. Yeah, he's allergic to it.
So I have to, that didn't happen until I was 45. For some reason, I became allergic to about 30 different things, including grass and rice. I'm like, really? Everybody's every day. I'm like, I'm allergic to this.
I just want
Mel
a
has
juicy
a theory
freaking
about
steak. That's all I want.
steak. Yeah, Mel has a theory
I made a
about-
London broil just before the show tonight. It was pretty good too.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
I drove across the whole country, right, all the way to Utah and back, and my aim was to have a really good steak. Each state I went to, you think Omaha, yeah, sure, they would have a great steak. Nope, no steak places. They got barbecue, but no steak. I mean, I searched New Mexico, Colorado. You mean to tell me the only ones in Colorado were like $150 for a steak? That wasn't happening. You know,
Oh, no. You buy your own cow for that.
I know it's like it's crazy, but you know, I'm spoiled here in
Right.
New York.
Next time you go to Texas, there's a place you can get a 76. It's a 96 ounce ribeye.
Well, that's Texas. Yeah, the old,
Now, listen,
the big Texan,
all the
man.
Texans, if you can eat it all, it's free. By the way, if you can
It's
eat
called
all
the
of
big
it,
Texan. I stay. Oh yeah, you got to eat the
Oh,
gristle
yeah.
and the fat. Did they tell you that?
hey,
Okay,
ribeye,
here's a
I'll
question
eat
for
it.
meat eaters. Here's a question for meat eaters. Okay, and I only know this because I have a lot of vegan friends. I love steak. I'm just saying.
I love steak.
But they say that when you eat an animal that you pick up and you are sort of taking in all of the energy of that animal. So if they die horrifically, you're bringing that into your essence. Thoughts?
I believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty viable theory. I was just kind of like,
How do they kill cows now? They shock them, huh?
See, the thing is, though, is that my body feeds on negative energy and creates positive. So I need that.
You're an alchemist, are you? Well, okay, here's something. Think about that theory, Michelle. There's a lady with autism out there by the name of Temple Grandin, and she doesn't agree with what's happening, but because she could pick up on the energy of what animals were going through being killed inhumanely, she's actually designed 75% of the world's humane meat processing plants. Doesn't agree with it, but yeah, it was really cool. She's
it's for the animals, right? At the end of the day, if it's going to happen.
Yeah, because she could pick up on that energy and the fear and the whole bit. So it's some kind of curvature she's figured out. And she's at one of the universities. She's got a doctorate in animal studies at in the US. I forget where it is. She's a very unusual lady. You can definitely tell that she's under the autism spectrum, but what a way to make your living. She's a multi-million billionaire because of this.
Wow, it's crazy. But you see, like, we're taking in the essence of another sentient being.
Not just that. The panic and the fear. I mean, I was next to a slaughterhouse one time. They were loading the cattle in, right? And then the screaming of the cattle, the fear, they were so scared. And I mean, you see cows, they moo, whatever. This was like they were screaming in fear, and
why she's done that, Michael.
It made me cry, man. It was tearful. It was like,
so she hasn't obviously done it with all of them, but I know they're slaughterhouses. That's what they are. But it's got some kind of curvature, and there's some kind of so that the animals don't see what's coming, and they don't. There's no screaming. There's none of that. So because, like I said, she could pick that up. Imagine us here with autism. You're so sensitive. So it was interesting that she's done that.
Yeah. See, like they say, once you hear that, you don't go back to eating. Like
even near-death experiences. I've been trying to have him on. He's a really talented psychic medium, but he had a near-death experience off and on that lasted for 2 months with the coma, and he doesn't remember all of it, but there's parts. He said his family was waking up. He would wake up from it. He said just sobbing and screaming. The animals, and he used to be a meat eater and everything. He said he can't eat animals anymore.
You just absorb that stuff, like
I
eat less and less and less meat.
I got to say out there is that I think I talked about this about a month ago about plants, and they've been doing studies with plants and different fungi that there is some sort of symbiosis communication that's going through there that we do not yet as understand. So if all those vegans out there that think that by eating meat is evil thing, you're killing a creature, we don't even know what we're doing to plants and stuff like that.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Just to put that hypocrisy out there when we have these.
They did an experiment at one of the universities. They took 2 plants and they put them in the rotunda of a university, and one plant for the experiment, they said, this is a plant you compliment, this is the plant you insult.
Yep.
Then the plant that was being complimented grew and grew and looked beautiful. The plant that was being insulted was dying.
Mhm.
And it's like, it goes to show you, like, they're absorbing the energy, the intention, like everything. It's just, trees communicate with one another through their roots. They'll exchange energy with you when you're grounding. You can go,
Yep.
like, everybody, you laugh at, like, hug a tree, go hug a tree, and people laugh, but they don't realize, like, trees will do an exchange of energy with you. They will let you take their energy and sort of, interchange. It's just amazing. But you're right, Del. People don't think of it. It's like water. It's like, if you put a glass of water and you label your intention on the water apparently tastes better. And sometimes if you put bad intentions on water, it even goes a bit like cloudy, So even water is something that has some kind of, energy, obviously, but that is aware.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the whole point out of it, is that when people start chastising other people for how they live their lives and stuff like that, and they say, okay, well, I'm this way because I'm doing betterment for everything else. Well, maybe you really aren't. that's the whole thing.
No, it's true. It's just, it's there's a lot that we don't understand about just the universe and life. The planet is a living being, and look at what we do to her.
Right. So we got, those are tangibles that we can say as existence and stuff like that. Now, getting back to the aliens, angels, and demons existence. Now,
Yeah.
those are just the intangibles that we haven't figured out yet, as of such. That's the way that I believe, anyways.
The aliens say Canadians taste good.
Wow. Wow.
Marinated in beer and maple syrup, and
Yeah.
all Canadians taste
I
good.
hate people.
Bacon.
Now, I'm not going to tell you what they said about New Yorkers, especially after they tasted de Blasio. Whew, man. I think they said they might not go back to
I
New York till it's a change.
We're on tonight, but we're not talking politics.
No, but we're going to be Friday. We'll be talking about Friday. There'll be more to talk about because you know who's already gotten more trouble since the last time we talked about him. And so I mean, when somebody had sent me a question in on my email a few minutes ago about standards of evidence, and I've had this discussion more times than I can shake a stick at. But I mean, it's hard because it's the standard of evidence for what we're talking about today. Anything paranormal or UFO related is much higher than the standard evidence for murdering somebody, which confuses me. Okay, if you're going to take my eyewitness testimony because I said Michelle just hacked the person's part because she needed a new ghost for her house, and you're like, all right, well, that's good. We believe you, and we're going to lock her ass down. I can understand that. But no, if I say, oh, she saw a UFO, or if I say, she saw a ghost walk, I say, oh, she's crazy, biatch. All the Canadian women are crazy. I can hear it now. So I just don't understand why. We're talking about normal everyday America. It's not like we're talking about the bureaucracy, or anything else for that. We're just talking about everyday people, jurists, or anybody who sits as just an everyday person. So you would wonder, because I find most people have had some weird experience in their life. Because when I go out and lecture, even when, like, if a TV thing comes out, or if something local in a newspaper comes out, and people see me in a bank or a restaurant or anywhere, grocery store, they'll tell me about what they've seen. And it doesn't matter where I go. Once that article's out, anywhere I go, somebody's going to tell me. I've had bank presidents come out to tell me about what they saw. So obviously, or sometimes it'll be a ghost, sometimes it'll be an alien, sometimes it'll be something else. But I find most people who've lived more than a few years have experienced something. So I don't understand why the evidence is people. So you know what it really is. It's a little scientists ask like, and just say that's how what we're going to have is a standard of evidence.
COVID-19.
I don't know. Yeah, COVID-19. Definitely COVID-21 now.
Put your mask on, man. Coughing on all of us.
We're gonna talk. Let me wait. Hold on.
I always see
you MAGA people.
I discuss the paranormal in the line at a grocery store, for example. But when you're in a room full of people and somehow this topic comes up, You're absolutely right. Almost everybody that's lived a little bit of life, it seems, even younger people, everybody's got a story to share. But it's almost like people are afraid of being labeled a conspiracy theorist or crazy or whatever it is. So people don't want to bring up what they've been through. That's been my experience with people anyways. I don't know about you guys.
I find I used to do a lot of big events for Casa Loma in Toronto. And they approached me. I did their events for like 5 years. And they would send me, because they're owned by the city of Toronto. So at the time, they would send me to libraries to work with children. They would send me to retirement homes to do presentations with respects to the history of the castle for the elderly. And I had more elderly people just bring me to the side after. It goes to show you the generation, right? They would bring me to the side and say, I have a story.
Yeah.
But they didn't want anybody else to hear them because they were raised that you just didn't talk about things like that. And it was still very evident, even later in life where I'm giving a presentation basically talking about that and how it connects to the history. And I found it fascinating that, I think maybe it's generational. Some people definitely want to talk about it. I have people who pull me over on the street and, oh my God, it's you. And I was like, whatever, but I have a story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Story.
I got a story, and I get that a lot, watch my dinner go cold because I'm listening to a story, but I find it fascinating. I think it really is a generational thing as to who's going to say what more often, at least for me.
Wait, on a side note, because you said that, Michelle, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Who in the hell decided that it was good to set up these big dinner tables at these conferences? So while you're trying to eat dinner, because you've been busy all day, probably been lecturing all day, doing workshops, and you would have had some dinner. Now you got like 10 people sitting at the table asking you questions. Who the hell thought that was a good idea, man?
The Amish.
It's called a meet and greet.
I mean,
Ever eat with the Amish, man? Come on.
I'm just saying, man.
Come on.
Because it's
Got
true.
no
'Cause every
Amish
time you
down
go
there
take
in the swamp.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, every time you
You guys
we
Swamish,
eat Amish. By the way, we eat Amish people in the swamp. I'm just telling you.
You heard it here
They high in
first, folks.
cholesterol.
They
Right.
eat Amish people in
Do
Louisiana.
not come to this house. They eat Amish people. Something about their butter makes their meat extra sweet or some shit. I don't know what that's about. I'm like ex-Amish.
Joe's got his designations on some sloppy Amish burgers.
Oh, man, that's right. Y'all come on down.
So
We'll
just what kind of vegetables do you serve with your average Amish? Corn?
Oh, man.
You think
No,
sweet corn?
Stuffed acorn squash, man.
There goes that third star.
Stuff with what?
With maybe a little red duck wine on the side. Oh, people, whoever wrote that, no, we're not going to eat you. Get the hell out of here. Anyway, did anybody
The Amish
see that video
people
on the
don't
screen
have
just
radio anyway. You don't have to worry. They will
They
never
probably
hear
don't.
this.
That's
But wait.
out now, isn't it? Army Hammer and a bunch of.
Well, look, I wanted to see. Can y'all see? Hold on, let me go back.
What was that?
Humans.
We're playing videos on the screen again.
Lorelai was talking. What?
I said that's a new thing with at the I guess celebrities. Army Hammer and a bunch of them are coming out admitting to being cannibals. Where are you getting your
my God.
flesh from?
I saw that the girlfriend came out and said that he wanted to eat part of it.
Wait. This guy wants to tell y'all something. Hold on. Let me put this guy in here.
Eat bacon. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Hold on. Let's see where this man is called in and wants to tell y'all something. How you do this? Let me put him in here. Okay, this guy's gonna bitch at y'all, I'm sure. But anyway, share away, play away.
The Hannibal Lecter cookbook series.
He's probably put a few recipes in himself.
Come on, you got to have that Bam sauce. Isn't that guy Emerald Bam? what do you do? You roast Jeffrey Dahmer, the Jeffrey Dahmer cooking experience? Cooking with Jeff?
I guess y'all can't hear. Can y'all even see it?
His neighbors said they never saw him buy any meat, just condiments. Some relish.
Oh, dear Lord.
Hey, they did it in Valley Forge.
All right,
If,
come on,
if
move
it's
it
good
on,
enough,
move it on.
if it's good enough for George Washington, it's good enough for everybody, man.
No,
the father
it
of
ain't got
our
nothing
country.
to do. We ain't got to do what we talking about now. And anyway, I wanted to see. Can y'all see that in the screen up there? Does it show that tape in the screen or that video on the screen?
Maybe if people thought that we ate people in this country, they wouldn't be so hard to get here.
Ooh, Justin says once he hiked in the vast Swedish forest and ate a porcupine. Well, that must have been fun hunting. Just saying.
Porcupine is different. All right. Anyway,
Oh my God.
It comes with its
so
own
I want to
toothpicks.
know. I want to know, just like several other questions, want to know is how are we going to prove that anything is real? Any type of anything that's not normal.
Dell and I already proved that nothing is real on the show a while ago. That never happened. so
because it wasn't real. That's why, because it wasn't real.
Nothing's real.
Well, let's use what you do for an example then, Joe. You've got iCar, you've got tens of thousands of abductees, contactees, experiencers. They, can you use hypnosis as some form of validation? Are there photographs? Are there you have similar stories? You're kind of delving into the subconscious at that point. Could that be used as a form of evidence for what you do?
It is a form of evidence. That's the reason we did it in the first place. But it is still, it goes by the standard of evidence we use in the court systems, what we were talking about earlier. So in any court, I could win any case for the proof of extraterrestrials, hands down, wouldn't even be that hard of a thing to do. And there has been cases already won in the past of the proof of existence of extraterrestrials. Because as long as you base it on the standard of evidence, there's way enough evidence. There's way more than just circumstantial evidence. The problem is science wants you to prove it in the scientific method, which short of catching an ET or capturing a landed spacecraft, is just not going to happen, because without one of those two things, you can't prove it.
What if you had a big net?
Hey, right? That wouldn't work either.
You need to have something like the movie Independence Day, where the alien ships show up at every major center all across the world all at once, and then there's your undeniable proof. You can't fake that stuff at all, right? Like in the movie, you just show up all over the place, visually there.
Well, let me ask you this, all y'all, by the way, if we were all sitting here, right, doing a daytime show, and all of a sudden you hear alarm systems going off and emergency systems going off, and you run outside and you see a big whopping ass UFO covering your city, I'm telling you, I'm leaving. I ain't even care. I don't care if they're friendly, not friendly. I'm leaving. We'll find out later if they're friendly or not. I'm just saying, man, I'm not going to hang around, because, in every science movie I've ever seen, when they show up like that, it's not a good thing.
You got to understand how to catch things, man. I had a friend who was like this wildlife, conservationist, right? And then they had to catch a woodchuck. You got to think like a woodchuck, to catch a wolverine, you got to think like a wolverine. Same thing for aliens. So you need a big box with a stick with like a rope, right? And then under the box, you put like a big butt and you face it up in the air, because that's what they're into, right? They're into that whole probing thing, man. So when they kind of scoot under the box, you pull the thing and boom, you got yourself an alien, man. But what are you gonna do with it, Joe?
Now you know why they.
Joe would eat the alien. You would eat it. I'm looking at that face right now. He's thinking alien on the grill.
They're too stringy, man. You know how long you have to saute an alien?
I got a few questions for you, but afterwards I'm gonna eat you.
It would take. You'd have to saute him, and
you gotta start with the legs first. Alien legs. It's good, like frog's legs.
They're all cartilage,
just
man. You don't
bigger.
Cartilage. I mean, that's just.
We eat chickens. So why not?
Some things you just don't want to eat, And
if you can eat a chicken, you can eat an alien.
Well, you gotta know
what's
where
the difference,
been, man? You know where the chicken's been. You know where the aliens. He might have been probing off in anywhere else. You just don't know where that boy might have forms of syphilis we've never even heard of yet.
All of life is survival. All of life is survival, from the time you're born to the time you die. The time you're born, kicking and screaming, and then going out, man. All
you know what? Think about this, Mike. Since you said that, that's us. But a race that has basically an unlimited lifespan, that's not them. They're not going to have those mortality fears that we have. All humans have fear of mortality.
I've never met them. I have no idea, man.
But I'm just saying, you wouldn't. If you did, you yourself, if you knew you were going to live endlessly for as long as you wanted, pretty good health and relatively intelligent, you would look at the universe differently. I mean, think about it.
I would learn every instrument.
My point. But think about this.
Every language, every instrument. I mean, if that's the case, man, you just absorb stuff. But what about the universe? I mean, we're only thinking of this little world that we're in. What about the multiverse? And scientists have proven the multiverse. So what about that?
They argue about if they prove it or not. But still, it doesn't matter, because for us, if once we reach a point in our time where we know we're going to live 10, 15, 20, 50, 100,000 years, things are going to change. I mean, you won't even be considered a massive in art until you've been in it for 100 years. Apprenticeships will last 50 years instead of 5 years.
Yeah,
It'll be
but
a whole different thing. I mean,
spiritually,
the mastery
we do
of things
live
will
that
be so much higher.
I mean, spiritually, we do live
but you
that
don't
long.
know. But you don't know. You don't know how you bounce
energy
around.
doesn't die.
I understand energy don't die, but if you go by different people's lives, especially if you believe in reincarnation, people must bounce around a lot because people F up a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people in this lifetime that are not going to be moving forward; they're going to be moving backwards.
They make me a cockroach. They come back as a cockroach 10,000 times.
They'll still be a human, but they might be like a Neanderthal or something. I mean, I don't know what the hell.
I'm voting for cockroach.
The very first psychic reading I ever had done, this lady was so funny. Old voodoo lady I met, and she was out reading in the French Quarter. It's like 2:30 in the morning. She's reading my cards. I think it's 19. I was on home leave from the Navy. She goes, "Wow, you're a really old soul, and apparently a really stupid one." And I looked at her like, "Excuse me, what did you just tell me?" She said, "Obviously, you're from far in the future, and you just could not behave yourself, so they sent you back here." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Whatever, woman." So didn't think about it. Went on. About 2 years passed. I was at the bottom of the teacup reading. And I'm sitting there talking to this lady. If y'all don't know the bottom teacup is, look it up. You'll find out a lot of famous people go that way. I'm sitting there. I'm getting a reading. It's in the afternoon time. Had a little daiquiri. Talking with the lady. She goes, "Did you know you were from the future sent backwards?" And I looked at her like, "You got to be shitting me, right?" I've actually had 5 people in the last 2 decades tell me that. And it's like, he said, you can tell you're out of time and place. He said, "You're really comfortable with our technology." And it does feel antiquated to me, I'm not going to lie. Even the advanced shit feels antiquated to me. It's easy for me to catch on to. I have a natural talent for it. It's a strange thing. I still don't think that's from the future. Because the last lady said, "You were really, 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 really bad." I just looked at her like, "They hate me really, 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 really bad. I need something more than that, man. I mean, I need a warning for the future, right? What the hell is really, really, really bad?"
Anal probing. I think that if humans can master it, we may be able to lift ourselves up to the alien level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, in 5 million years or so.
I think some people have mastered. I've seen videos online that have to do just like that.
I think if you can get I think humans are lucky if they can even get a plane above where they are right now. Mainly because I don't think once you get much further than that, you're not going to understand what you're seeing.
With these politicians, no one's going anywhere. I mean, they keep you seated firm. You know what I mean?
Well, our planet's not. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, it's like if you look at anybody who's in Hollywood or anybody who's in politics, they're holding the rest of the species back. We could all be moving on a lot faster.
We're not evolving, man. There's no progression. It's just a fight back and forth over money. Over money. Isn't that disgusting?
It's not just money. We like to fight about women. Well, now
money, power,
about men. So that's
power, and money.
And money, mud, continents. Anything we can fight about, we want to pick a fight about. Glenda the Good Witch. I see using that nigga again. Actually,
pretty hot.
The PT room.
She was hot, man.
I'm glad you brought that up, Glenda, because the Paltalk room is only going to be around for another.
She's hot, man. She's the kind of person that would dress up to go to 7-Eleven. I like
this Glenda the Witch is hot, actually, by the way. Yeah, I know. She'd take you out, though. She's a voodoo princess.
The green one's a little scary, but you know what? on a long night with some tequila.
Let's see.
Not saying it wouldn't happen, especially in Mexico on the beach. You gotta have the setting. If you're gonna be with Evil Witch, you gotta have the setting, man.
Bubbles, if you're listening, you need to set up a program for Mike.
Little champagne, Central Park.
He's closer to the Canadian side than the southern side, so I'm just saying.
Canucks don't mess around. You don't mess around.
What happened? I guess we lost Laura Lee there.
One of my favorite bands is from Canada, Rush.
Mine too.
Love Rush. Although Geddy Lee can't get that voice up anymore. I have to watch the old videos to hear it like it should be. I feel like he's straining so hard his ball's going to come out of his mouth. You know what I mean?
All right,
That's
let's
like
go back to topic.
he's got to
I
stop.
might just start banning Mike Lansing. Get back on the topic, guys. Come on.
Uh-oh. What's the
Get
topic?
Get back to the topic. You should know what the topic is. If you ain't here, do say.
I came in late because I was working.
What are we going to? Oh, it's right. I forgot you're employed. You got to watch these crazy ones. But no, we're trying to figure out because we had a lot of people. We're still going to have a lot more people even after this. People have been writing in for a while now, just asking, how can you prove something that seems to be unprovable?
Okay. This is interesting here, Joe, is that I was just looking up as of 2017, it's basically around 34% of the world's population are atheists or agnostic, don't believe in anything, period, right? So you're looking at 66% of the world's population believe in some sort of religion or some sort of spirituality. And then if you look through our history that we have available, everything going all the way back, all talk about some sort of spiritual entities or some sort of extraterrestrial or dimensional beings that come through and impact and affect the populations there. So that's not any part that can be proven scientifically, but it's been widely talked about and passed on through all the ages.
Yeah, well, it's all this. It doesn't matter what this is. Everybody believes, whether it's UFOs or demons or ghosties or little people or other kind of people. The majority of the planet believes in something. 80, 85%, 90% of them believe in something. Even the agnostics and the atheists believe in something. Even though it's against what they believe because they're not supposed to believe in anything. But
they believe in themselves.
They do. That's what I'm saying. So they're not true agnostics because they do believe in something. But it's hard because most people. This is what's really weird about this. If you poll people and you ask them, "Do you believe aliens exist in the universe?" It's like 80% says yes now, which is a big increase from just 20 years ago. You ask people, you think they're coming to the planet right now, it's about 50-50, which is still a big increase from just 20 years ago. But the problem is, when you ask people about any type of interaction with aliens, or do you want aliens to come here, it's still real low. They still are intimidating for most humans. Most humans don't want to think that we're the low guy in the food chain. I mean, humans have spent their whole entire existence from the start of creation to be the top of the food chain. And then all of a sudden we find out that, we may be the top of the food chain here, but the bottom of the food chain out there. So it's a lot to deal with.
I don't think aliens are eating people, you know?
It's not a matter if they're eating people. It's a matter of who's going to control the galaxy, who's going to control the solar system. And it's not
But what does control mean? I see people making the mad dash right now to fight a virus that is practically insignificant. A lot of people would even argue if it's really even alive, but yet it is replicating, it is striving for life, and it is destroying people, and it is breaking down society. So, at what level of living? I mean, humans are pretty dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, in the essence, if you're no matter what life form they are, sure, they could have all kinds of advanced stuff, but it comes down to a balance of nature, no? And if humans, 7.5 billion people on the planet, I mean, and increasing, even though some countries are starting to fall off, but I think that we're formidable, and I think that we've been shepherded to this point. I don't think we've been allowed to do this on our own. Especially nuclear weapons and things like that. I don't think that for a second we would have advanced technology if it wasn't for some kind of interference, right? And you know yourself, Joe, Nikola Tesla, he was visited, man, before he got these visions and these ideas. Einstein had those dreams, right? He had the same. And then, Del, I was thinking of you. I was just reading an article yesterday how scientists just proved they can communicate with people in their dreams, and people can communicate back while they're in that REM state. So, wow. So you can plant things in people's dreams. Think about that.
No, of course you can. I've talked dream even for 4 decades now. It's one of the first things. Matter of fact, before I ever got into all of this, it's one of the things I was doing online. It was one of the courses I used to teach back in the day. I don't teach anymore because I don't have the time for it. And to be honest with you, there's not as many people today whose dreams that really are having awakening dreams. Most people can't control their dreams. Most people still are dreaming in black and white when they should be dreaming in color. And most people, if they get in a bind with their dreams, they either wake themselves up But you can control your dreams completely. We'll have to do it. As a matter of fact, we'll do our next panel on this, but or Michelle and I are.
That was Dell's last show.
Yeah, but it's the thing of it is it's a course I used to love to teach, and it's something you have to get kind of personal with a person about, because you got to be able to get in their head. But it's man, I'm telling you, it's just one of those things that any I don't know if anybody can learn, but you got to learn before you even attempt this part. You got to learn how to start to control your dreams. You got to understand that it is a dream and you can control it. And even an awakening dream, you can control. The only kind of dreams that you can't control is a prophetic dream, something from the future or something that's going to happen that something else is giving you, not something that you're controlling. But all the rest of it, you can control. Look.
I think the whole thing that people are starting to recognize now, which has been largely frowned upon because of the interference of the Catholic Church in society and following along through those rules, is that a lot of these, what do we call the not crazy, but the savage beliefs and stuff like that, which were in touch with nature, and actually this was part of their culture, dream walking, spiritualism, talking with entities, connecting with the earth and stuff like that. Whereas the rest of society, which we all sort of live in these cities and towns, which was directly impacted by religion and government control and the way you were programmed through school, nobody was sort of thinking about that. And I think with the adverse of this technology and having this worldwide net, that a small fraction of people, a lot of people here that are on this network as well, has looked into these other forms of availability to things being out there than just what we were fed to by science and media.
Eat the wafer. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
eat the wafer. Put some cheese on. Put some cheese on that wafer.
A show like this here, like we have here on United Public Radio, this would never be on your cable TV stuff, and a lot of people would never even have heard about anything that we're even talking about.
And that's a great
point.
Why
is that, Del?
People are idiots.
They're limited. That's why people are limited.
The way it is now, you get out there
because they don't want us in their heads. They don't want us programming their brains. They want CNN and all that, right? I mean, isn't that the best?
But they've lost control thanks to COVID. I know people. There's a lot of conspiracies about COVID. We'll talk about that next week. But the thing about it is whatever COVID was something they didn't expect, because it has leveled the playing field. Podcasting now is as good as you can go on any network anywhere. You can watch The View or any major television show. Their podcast any better. As a matter of fact, since one here, they're not even as good. The backgrounds are just their homes or whatever.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So it's leveled the playing field. So good podcasts like these are actually starting to have. Look, put it like this. Okay, guys, in case you didn't know, last week's show was on the archive. What did I tell you, Michelle? 435. So not including the live audience, so 435,000 people watched that podcast. I bet you that's more people than watched The View last week's podcast. So they're getting paid. We're not. But what's going to start to happen is you're going to start to see a fundamental shift. You're going to see companies shifting away from that, looking for things like these that have already built-in audiences that they can come in, advertise, syndicate, and not have the headache of having to have big-name stars that they got to pay $2 and $3 million each to. And they're still going to make just as much money because they're going to still be selling the advertisement.
Yeah, but we scare the crap out of corporate America. That's the problem, man. They don't want truth out there. They just want more agenda, right?
Well, I think we need to remember it's not just America that's listening. Don't we go out to quite a few countries? So it's all over.
Oh, we do. And that's a true point. Of course, that Canadian virus scares them Europeans for some reason.
It should.
It should.
Something about staying over there.
Americans are outnumbered tonight. There's 3 Canadians in here with you.
Oh my God!
That's
I'm
right.
always outnumbered.
That's right.
That's because the other Americans are scaredy cats. They've heard about these Canadian women now. Me and Mike's the only one brave enough to get out of here with y'all. The rest of them are scared. Poor Dale, he was a hostage taken.
See, Castro Jr. signed off on the pipeline pretty damn fast. Today, he was kind of like, okay, nothing we can do. Bye. Like, wow.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what's going on, right? With that, they've been sued. Now they're going to pay for it. So now, only people getting screwed here is not the companies, not the countries, just the workers. Because the companies are going to get paid. They already told Biden you're going to have to pay out the contract. Biden said, yeah, we'll pay out the contract. So the
Okay.
only people
I
getting
wanna
screwed
put
are the workers.
up here.
But
We
anyway,
got
getting
somebody
on
new
that.
in the chat. We got an Amanda B, and I think she's got a good point here. She's talking. She says she totally agrees. But she's talking about that we all need to unite all over. So what's it going to take? Like, do we need something global to happen? Like we're talking about proving. Is it something like a UFO, that shows up, or invasion, or what's it going to take to
It's
invite?
going to take a very charismatic leader who can walk a fine line between 3 or 4 areas of the world. And if he or she, because it doesn't have to be a he, it's just got to be somebody that, like in our country,
I was going back to UFOs and things like
I
that.
don't know, but I'm just saying, if you can get behind it and unite, if each side of ours can and y'all side can unite, so if you can find someone like that, they can change the universe, not just the world, because people will actually start to listen, and we'll stop ignoring each other, we'll stop fighting with each other, and we'll start uniting as a world. But right now, we're not taught that way. We're taught to push against each other.
Dennis Rodman.
It's part of our thing.
We need Dennis Rodman, man.
Well, wasn't that part of Reagan's speech there, is that we're not worried about the global conflict, it's going to be what comes from out there, and that's probably be the only way that the world will unite.
And it probably is, as it stands right now, and he was probably right. It probably will be what will think. He gave that speech 7 times, actually. 7 times in his 8 years as president. Actually, it's 6 years, because his last 2 years he was in zombie land somewhere. His first 6 years he was quite bright and together, but his last 2 he was
make believers out of a lot of people that don't believe.
Well, he because if an alien showed up tomorrow with a fleet and said, "Guess what, Earth? It ain't going to be Russia and America. It's going to be the world," because it's the only way we'd even have a chance. And even then, I doubt we would have any chance. But still, you'd see it unless the aliens came down and said, "Hey, Beijing, baby, you come on my side," and
There's a bigger question. A bigger question is going to crush the original question. Does it matter if people believe? I mean, you know what? I don't think it matters. I mean, you spend your time trying to convince someone, it's a huge waste of time. Yeah. So does it really matter at all?
Yeah, we brought that up earlier, Michael. That's what we were saying. Like Michelle and I and Del, and actually all of us were saying that you can't really convince people if they're not ready to hear it or believe it.
Because out of all of us, we really don't care what other people think, do we? I mean, that's not obnoxious or anything. I think kind of like we have our own opinions formed from our experiences. I've met people in the paranormal world, for instance, who are trying to tell me all these things that, that they never even experienced yet. And it's like, well, until the map is not the territory until you've kind of lived it a bit. You don't really know these things, So is something real? Well, it's real if you experience it. If it's not real if you don't experience it. So I mean, it comes down to experience.
I like what Michelle said, that we are all, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
I'm the master. What the hell y'all talking about? Oh no, indeed not. There's only one opinion. All the rest of y'all invited. That's how it is in the world, man. What the hell, people? Oh, what am I going to do with these?
Ask Andrew Cuomo that.
Cuomo will tell you.
He's going to be the Democratic sacrifice.
Well, we talked about a few weeks ago. Democrats were going to have to sacrifice some big names to save some other big names.
There you go.
He's going to be sacrificed.
Think about it. There's people that try and cram religion down other people's throats because they believe it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has something they believe or they feel they've experienced. And I've always said, you know what, you do your thing, you're okay, but I don't need to hear what, don't cram it down my throat. So I think it's about anything in life. Everybody lives a different life, or as Del put it one time, we all have our own little bubble that we live in. And that's kind of what life is about, right? And unless you've experienced or you live it or becomes part of your world, it doesn't become part of your focus.
Well, I used to live in a little bubble by myself, but somehow another 800 people crammed themselves in a bubble with me. So I'm not exactly sure how this is happening. It's like.
Well, do the religions want to make those people part of the community, or do they want to make those people part of the ranks so they can support their religion?
It depends who
it's really, I know somebody who, she got a divorce and she was real depressed and real down, and these people, Jehovah's Witnesses, hounded her. As soon as she said, I'm a little depressed, I feel a little bad, they hounded her. Then they started asking her for money, come be with us and all that. And it's just like they're the same as, the 12 tribes of Israel, those guys that kind of just have farms all the way around. And they take in these people and shove shuffle them around. They got a place in Ithaca. They own actually a cafe. And when you go in there, they will talk to you about the 12 tribes of Israel and about this guy, Ezekiel, who used to be a carny. He was a carny, a trailer park carny. And then now he's this multi-billionaire from this thing. So they're cults, right? And so what rate, because I read the Bible, you know what it says? In fact, on my show next week, I'm talking about Noah and my idea that Noah actually came from Mars. And I can actually back it up with evidence from the CIA that they released. It's really cool. I'm going to make that link. But think about it, history that we know and everything that we know and everything that we're part of. I mean, what does it end up?
Badass Archie built.
Can we use it, though, to make ourselves better as a people? And then we look around and we see people suffering and all these poor people. But, that guy Noah, what's his face from the Daily Show, right? He bought a $27.5 million mansion, and he calls himself a minimalist. And he's a big Democrat donor, and he's out there saying, "Oh, the poor, oh, the poor people." It doesn't link up to their lifestyle and what they stand for. And we allow poverty. It's not something that has to be.
Right. Well, we do. We kind of do.
So what's real? What's real?
The aliens are real, baby. They're coming for you.
I'm about to eat a chicken salad sandwich, man. That's pretty damn real.
They come.
And I'm going to experience it.
Justin, I've actually done live broadcasts from this shit before.
So what's real is the experience.
I'm doing one right now.
About this though, what if someone puts electrodes in your brain and they can tap all your senses and then circumvent just a few puny senses that we have exterior and create what's real? So is the block universe real? Is that are we that restricted? That we don't have freedom of choice? Do we have freedom of choice?
Look, I wouldn't let most of these humans free in my backyard, much less in the universe.
So I think you are an alien, and that's why you have this channel, and you're posing. Come on, man.
I might be an alien. It don't matter. I'm not letting a bunch of these humans in my.
You don't have a house. You have a ship.
A friend of mine the other day asked me. He said, "I don't know why you don't just do a conference at your house."
Oh,
You're crazy.
You mean the
I'm
ship?
putting in Michelle's house. She can do a conference. I ain't doing a damn conference.
I got a question for Michelle. During all your investigations, have you ever come across an alien ghost?
I cannot say I've ever come across an alien ghost that I am aware of with recordings. A what ghost?
A cryptid?
A cryptid ghost. No, but I can tell you in remote viewing, you can see them. Cryptids, aliens, anything.
Yeah, but if you think of the universe as a universe, what's really an alien? I mean, maybe we're the aliens.
Well,
makes sense to me.
Maybe.
Other people we are. Not ourselves.
Clearly divide. We were using the term alien as something that's non-human from Earth. That's what we're using the term alien. So,
but illegal aliens are like people from
I
Mexico.
want you a man to be happy.
So we got classifications for everything.
Now you're almost getting like an SJW. You're worrying about words.
We have to be able to classify things. All of life is data.
Well, I know we're getting closer on time, but so if you had to pick one single thing that you would consider to be legitimate evidence for like anything paranormal, what would it be? Really? I mean, because I have not a clue. I'd have to.
Me? Can I go first?
Yeah, you go right there. It don't matter.
When those Navy fighters were chasing down those ships, man, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And they moved so quick and so fast. And then the thing went from 80,000 feet down to sea level in a matter of seconds. There is nothing that we have that can do that. They wouldn't expose it like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's the coolest thing ever. So just listening to their excitement of those Top Gun pilots, man, as they were like, wow, look at this, man. They were like flipping. So that was my favorite. But yeah, I would say that. For me,
I would say probably when you hear, I'm not talking about radio waves. I'm talking about using just say, I'm not an expert in it, but regular ITC. And I have to say that what came through on some of the things, just for my own personal experience, calling people by name. I was there. It was live. This was not pre-planned. I called in at the last second. There were names. It was talking about I see you. It was talking about what was in the room. Just from experiencing it live, And there's this spur of the moment, something was coming through those radio waves and was able to offer valid evidence about what was going on because it was on video. To me, that had to be something. Now, was it alien? Was it a ghost? Was it a demon? What was it? I don't know, but it was something.
I agree with Laura Lee because I've experienced that also. I've seen UFOs. I've seen a gray, like real time. I've got hundreds of hours of amazing EVPs. Many of them are Class A, not including ITC, just regular good old fashioned EVPs.
Yeah.
I've experienced, ITC stuff that's pretty mind blowing. Just like you say, they can describe exactly what they're seeing in your surroundings. There's a lot of stuff out there that's still yet to be determined. But I guess that's all part of the journey to discovery, is the fact that we just keep forging ahead in research until that day comes where we can perhaps say definitively that something exists. Right now, I think it's just, if it leads to a question mark, at least it's not completely debunked. It just leads to being able to further research it.
Love it. Yeah.
I
Delhi.
agree. I think Dell's getting a snack.
Yep, I'm right here.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the way I sort of look at it here, is that I don't need to give proof to anybody, to the experiences or anything that I have. All I just need to do is convey my experiences and information that I have. And you take it with a grain of salt, and if it tunes in with you,
Oh, my.
and that's it. And if you had something similar, then hey, we have a similar sort of thought and experience. But like, everybody's experience is going to be different in this reality of what it is, and all I can do is just share what I have.
That should be. I like this, man. I've been playing videos while y'all been talking, these UFO videos on here. This is kind of cool. It's a cool little feature.
There's someone in the chat that has Tom Hanks in their suburb, they say, in Australia.
Okay, yeah. See, I was playing the government UFO videos while y'all were talking, which is cool. Here's another one right here I can put on there. It's kind of nice. It's a nice thing. I don't know. It says y'all can hear the audio. I have the audio on right now because I'm talking, but it says you can turn the audio on so y'all can hear it. We'll find out on one of these sessions. It'd be good for, especially like when we're doing news.
What's your proof that you think is the most evidential proof then?
Well, I guess the really the best proof I would have to say is there more than 60 million people around the world who reported seeing a UFO. One person I'd say, maybe two people, okay, 3 people maybe, 4 people, 100 people, oh, that's pretty good. 5,000, wow, that's pretty good. 1 million, whoa, that's pretty damn good. 60 million, yeah. Well, I think you can't really deny it anymore, but. And then you get sightings like
you already said you saw the UFO land on the aircraft carrier. So that's like.
But I've actually seen UFOs land more than once. So I've been real lucky with this. But I've also put myself. The carrier was a weird thing for me because I hadn't put myself in that position. I was just there doing my job. Every time else I've seen one, I've actually put myself in position. Matter of fact, I was on this beach this weekend, talking about a landing about 200 yards from where I was standing filming. On Eglin Air Force Base. We got the pictures of that are actually on the alienenigma.com site or .org site. In case y'all know, there's an old site called alienenigma.org. It's a site I put up 23 years ago because when I first became public speaking, not just researching, but public speaking, when I decided to come out about things that have happened to me, I didn't want people saying, "Oh, you just jumped on the bandwagon." They were already put out and they were put on that site, but no one was ever told about the site. It was just there. If you knew me personally, you knew about the site, but if you didn't know the site was there. It is searchable, though, and it is there. And it's got a bunch of stuff on there we did way, way, way back in the day. And that way, when people said, "Oh, he's just jumping on it because it's popular now," no, actually, icons probably what made abductions popular in the damn field, which is just hilariously funny. But really, to me, it is. I mean, we talk about the Pentagon sightings or the White House sightings where multiple witnesses, or we talk about the Phoenix lights or the Mexico City sighting, which is the biggest sighting I've ever heard of. More than 1 million people saw it. I mean, what are you going to call 1 million people lies? You're going to call the mayor of the town, the police chief? Same thing, Gulf Breeze. The mayor seen it, the police chief seen it, Unsolved Mysteries was there filming it. So all the 500 people standing on a fishing bridge were idiots. No, most of these people had degrees. And still, so to me, when you have those kind of sightings, there's no doubt that whatever this is real. Now, if we want to argue it's ours, look, my security clearance is way high. I've seen some pretty hairy shit, but I've never seen anything that our government has that would be anywhere around what these things can do. Here, this thing about the Foo Fighters alone, that was 60 years ago. Nothing, even the drones we have today still can't reproduce what the Foo Fighters did 60 years ago or 70 years ago. Sorry. I'm sorry, 80 years ago. So we had things flying around the sky 80 years ago that we cannot produce with this advanced drone technology. We have today that can fly groups and flip over, do all kind of stuff. We have nothing that can even achieve those speeds yet today. And it's 80 years later with all kind of technologies we have, and we still can't get close to that. So those kind of things prove there's something going on. And when you get sightings from, like in World War II, is even better because you got it from the Allies and the Axis. You got reports from both sides saying the exact same thing. Well, you had something because the enemy was saying it and the Allies were saying it. And we thought it was theirs. They thought it was ours. And it turned out to be none of ours. At the end of the war, we were all still scratching our heads going, okay, but these Foo Fighters, the Russians actually called a meeting with the United States to make sure, it was part of one of the treaties, that it wasn't our technology, something we were developing. That's how worried about it they were. It was brought up with the nuclear meeting, and it wasn't, and it still isn't. So you can't get away, you can't escape stuff like that. And anything flying in the sky more than 200 years ago is excellent.
Humans are the only creatures dumb enough to run towards trouble. Everything else kind of runs away. Escape.
Most everything else. Dolphins and wolves don't, but everything else.
But really, I mean, is this something for us even to figure out? It's not really a plan. It's more about how we live our lives. I think people need to figure that out rather than scratch their heads about other stuff. And then, you meet people in everyday life that are ignorant in other areas, and if they don't believe something, you can't waste your time trying to make them believe it. It's their limitations, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm torturing the host at the moment.
Like the Pope. I listen to the Pope all the time, and he doesn't. Nothing links up what he says, man. I don't like it.
That was just scary.
I don't like
it. I thought Laura Lee was fake there for a minute. Hey, won't let me feature you. Why you're in the doghouse? Damn thing won't let me put you up there. Oh, because you're not in the stream. Okay, I must have double clicked.
There he is.
Yeah, I must have double clicked the stream.
Maybe I was fake.
I don't know. When it comes to ghosts, I'm still not convinced that ghosts are dead people yet. No one's, and I know some of the foremost experts. Matter of fact, come to think about it, I know all the foremost experts in the ghost field. I'm still not convinced. I was doing a lecture. Somebody asked me that. He said, "How can you not be convinced you know everybody?" I said, "They still ain't convinced me." I said, "It's not that they haven't convinced me that there's not something going on." I said, "I agree wholeheartedly. There's something going on. I'm just not 100% sure it's a ghosty dead person."
There are people that didn't believe OJ was guilty. Look at it like that.
We know who's guilty. We know.
You could have all kinds of evidence, man.
Yeah.
But if the glove doesn't fit, must quit. So we have to announce still the Free the Dell fund, man. You got to have Free the Dell. We're up to $3 now.
Yeah.
Canadian. That's like $1.50.
No, you're probably
I think
right.
they said it was $3 with 7 zeros behind.
Well, he's not getting out till the plasma whip's paid off. So you guys,
You heard that. You heard that.
I didn't hear nothing. I got to pay ignorant. I have to afford abuse if I hear it. So I'm ignorant. I didn't hear nothing.
Joe's a mandated reporter.
I know hear nothing. I know see nothing.
If you guys aren't aware, is that I actually answered her free. I go dream walking every night, so I'm traveling all over.
That's right.
guys,
I met Dell down at the club.
He's
just
a
the other
champ.
night, by the way. Betty, what do you got, Betty? Who? What? Oh, okay. Well, no, we've had that discussion about you talking about black-eyed people, children, whatever. We've had that discussion. It's actually, you can ask Michelle, you can ask Laura, you can ask any of the hosts on the network. Everybody's going to kind of give you a different answer. I know one of them probably are aliens. There seems to be another type besides them. Maybe there's something that's interdimensional. I'm not sure. It's it's a weird thing when you come to black eye.
I'm on the fence because I
Yeah, I
just
am too.
don't know. To me, I want to know why they have to have your permission to come in. To me, that means I don't know if it's ET because ET doesn't ask to come in. I don't know, Michelle. What do you think? Have you got any definitive thoughts on that? Because, like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about it because every story you hear, they got to ask to come in.
You know what? I am on the fence with black-eyed children because there are some indigenous, even folklore out there that states that there's some kind of being that comes in and its only mission is to try to destroy the tribe, and it impregnates women with chalky-skinned, black-eyed children. And the idea is to just replace, humans with these beings. And then you hear things with being ET. Some people say, oh, they're. I've heard vampires. I've heard just crazy different things that nobody really knows what they're about.
ET doesn't ask to come in. Like, look at all.
No, but a vampire would.
But Mason says he's from what Americans would consider old Transylvania, and he knows Michelle personally as an old Victorian vampire.
There we go.
She's just hanging out with us.
And he owes
I've never seen her in the daytime. I'm just saying, I've never seen her in the daytime.
And you got to go and collect.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, if you think there's a multiverse, then obviously beings can come through. And then, who the hell knows? I've seen all kinds of hunting cam videos, man, of people capturing the weirdest stuff. Some of it's staged, yeah, sure. But you can usually tell. If it's Chewbacca, it's probably staged, But I'm talking about some weird stuff, man. And I like it. So I look for
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun because even you know what? What's weird? You see the way the animals around react. It's not even like a person. True. Animals react differently to people, especially deer.
Trust your animals. Trust young children and trust your animals.
Yeah, it's a gut feeling that when you watch these things, that you know what the deal is.
Absolutely.
But who's to say? Look at the chupacabra, right? It's been reported in all kinds of places, even in Texas.
Leave chupacabra alone. It's one of my relatives. I'm Rougarou. He's chupacabra. We talked about
Joe ate them all. That's what he's not sharing. No. He lured them in.
Me and them are friends. They bring
box and the stick deal I was talking about, and ate them all.
Rougarous, man. They Rougarous.
Interesting stuff there when you get into talking about how you have these black-eyed children, or even these other entities where they have restrictions on where they can go, and there's a lot of stuff talking about having certain markings on your door, or certain elements, or flowers, or amulets, and stuff like that. So now you have to ask the question: is if this is something that's restrictive to this entity in getting in touch with you or getting to you, how powerful are these things actually?
Mindset. I think mindset has a lot to do with it.
You're just reading my mind, Michelle.
Right? If you believe it,
energy and mindset. If you believe, whatever I always say, what you believe is what you perceive, and it becomes your reality.
Exactly.
I knew a guy who was delving into that stuff, and then he'd get all scared, and then he'd open up a door and things were getting darker, really low vibrations. And he would, in fact, I have a picture from his apartment of a full body apparition. So that's how intense his energy was. And he didn't want to be a medium, and his grandmother included him all these rituals when he was a little kid. It's a real big story, but the dude would cry out for help. I can't sleep at night. These things are in my hallway. They're walking the hall. They're trying to get me, clawing at him through the bed. But he kept inviting it in, and he kept inviting it in, and he kept inviting it in. And he would get more intense as it went along.
I want to answer something in the chat here because Justin B says, gifted people tend to attract ghosts, spirits, demons. They become a battleground for a variety of forces. What I'd like to add to that, and I don't know, you guys can say whether I'm right or wrong, but what Spirit showed me is over on the other side, everything is energy, little pinpricks all over the place. Names aren't important. They know each other by energetic signature. And if you're working with your guides, as I understand it, they'll agree to a name you've associated with that type of energy because we use names on Earth. And I do agree a little bit about this, but not quite. As Spirit has shown me that people that are aware of their abilities, it's more like a bonfire, the energy over, rather than pinpricks of light. So it's not just good, it's positive. the positive can see, but also negative things too. But I don't think I agree with you with the fact that we're, I think the words you used, that we attract them. I don't think we attract them. I think that maybe with the gifts that we have, we may be more aware. I think these things are always there. Whether we're more aware, we're able to see them or feel them or whatever that may be. But I don't think because you're gifted that you're a magnet for them per se all the time. I don't know what other people's thoughts are, but that's how I feel about it.
Actually,
You mean the guy?
know,
You mean that guy I was
Yeah.
talking about?
No,
No,
she was answering a question in
Oh.
the chat.
No, there was a question in it. There was a comment.
Well, no, in some ways, I do think people things are attracted to people because of what they do, not just because they have the ability.
Exactly.
I'm sure if you do have a good ability and you're standing in the dark, it's going to shine out. So they may
But if they're
see
lost,
it,
if they're lost souls, don't they want to seek out like that lighthouse? A medium must come off like a lighthouse to them, man.
Well, they
Because
do. And a lot of mediums say that they come uninvited.
I've been with people where that's happened, and we in our paranormal investigations, and some young entity came running at this girl, and it was like, "Help me, help me, help me!" But he wasn't part of what we were doing. You know what I mean? He wasn't even from that location. He was from like a block over. He identified. It's
But
actually
maybe he knew she could see and hear and sense him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's like a beacon on the other side. It's
right. And he asked for help
because he could see
that was
it.
like the whole thing. Yep.
It is. It's like
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I think if some people, if they're fairly powerful and they're doing stuff, of course, it's going to attract even more things. And some people can handle it, some people can, some people just turn it off so they don't have to deal with it.
What do you think, Michelle or Del?
What?
What?
Comment.
What? Talking to me?
Hi, I'm Dell.
What do you think, Michelle, about his comment? Because I don't know magnet, but
I believe just through experience that mediums do tend to have a light about them. I think it's maybe we say light, maybe it's just the type of energy that we put out there and it attracts certain energies. I believe that's also a factor when it comes to people who attract dark things. If you have an addiction issue, for example, or if you have anxiety, depression, sometimes that type of energy will attract these things because, negative things or malevolent spirits will feed off of energy like that and they're going to keep it going. But sometimes it's the other way around too, wrong place, wrong time, and it can stimulate that sort of energy. So there's a really big spectrum when it comes to that. But I think it's just the energy we put out more than anything. Is it light? Well, maybe you can call it light. Maybe it's just energy.
Yeah,
that we project,
I think people are getting hung up on this thing of darkness and lightness and that are bad. Because I've said before, they're like your shadow is a dark entity that's behind you. It's not bad. It's not evil. And I think you're right when you hit it on that part there that it's a type of energy. And I think we're sort of people sort of get into this classification that don't deal with this because of religion or talking that everything is dark is bad and light is good. But I think there's sort of it's an energy field and whatever you give off, I guess.
Oh, we lost him.
That was me. I hit a button. Sorry, guys.
Oh, cut him off.
Sorry, Dell. I went to say hi to somebody and somehow I turned you off.
I'm used to it.
I apologize. I was trying to. Anyway, I was going to answer a comment in the room, but I guess I hit something. I know we got about 8 or 9 minutes, and we're going to get out of here, guys, since we got to live a little time, and Laura Lee's going to be coming up in about.
I have big guests tonight.
But I know I see a lot of questions that came in, man, and I see you, Chad William, I see you and everybody that's in the chat.
Who's your guest?
I'm having a fellow New Yorker meeting you, Michael. Lois P. Martin. She's a numerologist. I've been friends with her for years. I've been trying to have her on, but she will just by your birth date and your name, this woman will blow your mind. The information she gives you. She's not like typical numerologists, and even a private conversation I had with her, she didn't believe some of the things I was sharing with her at first, but then she went into the numbers. She said, I think everything's numbers, and all the numbers is what I was telling her all lined up. So she said for her that validated it. She's going to kind of explain how her system works. And if time permits, which I think it will, she's going to do some readings for people. So
Yeah.
it should be pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Actually, Kelly, that thing behind my head's a military alphabet. That's what you keep asking about. Yeah, that's what it is. You don't see a Foxtrot Charlie. Yeah, that's what it is. In case you can't, yeah, that's what it's just up there. It's one of many things that's behind my head over there. No, demons are not real. No, ghosts aren't real. Aliens aren't real either. For that matter, politicians aren't really. We living in the Matrix. People get over it. I'm just kidding. Very, very right to me. That's just teasing. I guess I always get people writing to me, "Oh, Joe, we live in the Matrix, right?" Joe, it's the Matrix. And one guy called on the phone and said, "Hi, Joe. My voice is kind of deep, so I don't get scared, but you live in the Matrix, dude." I'm like, okay, cool. Click. I thought it was my language, actually. I was like, what the hell, man?
Yep.
Oh, I don't know. People are weird. And we need a standard. And I've said this for 3 decades. There needs to be a standard in the fields that allows for us to peer review everyone else's evidences and to put through what the field thinks is the best. That way, people outside the field who are coming in or looking to do peer review or looking to do evidence can start with the good stuff and not have to go through the tons. I mean, if you do a search on the internet for anything, ghosts, demons, UFOs, you'll get far more fake ones than you will real. And it's just a waste of everybody's time to have to do it. And it slows people down and it makes people not want to believe because, unfortunately, we've done this experiment many times. We'll put up 50 real UFOs and put up 1 fake UFO, and they always remember the fake and not the 50 real. Always. Doesn't matter what group it is. They always remember the same damn thing. It weirds me out, actually. Oh, that one was fake. Yeah, but the other 50 were real. Oh, yeah, but that one was fake. Yeah, well, I know the one was fake, but the 50 were real. But Joe, that one was fake. I just want to reach through the phone and choke them.
Yeah, but you know what, Joe, think about it. And I think human beings are wired that way because you could get 100 compliments in one day and then you get one jackass that would say something nasty to you. What do the majority of human beings focus on? That one negative comment, not the 100 compliments that they received.
That would have been like, click, you're banned. That's what I would have done. That would have been like, you're banned, get over it. Marcy, what do you got, Marcy? Oh, yeah, I have actually talked about that. We may have been from Mars, or our ancestors may have been from Mars. Yeah. Well, Mike said he's going to talk about Noah being from Mars. So,
Oh, yeah.
Well, no. Only reason I've ever said it is I was working with a professor a long time. It was almost 40 years ago. And he was always befuddled why the biological clock for humans was set on a 24 and a quarter hour day, and Earth's rotation is 23 and 3/4. It's a half-hour time difference. And he couldn't understand it. He said, well, we evolved here. Shouldn't we be the same? He said, unless at one point Earth's time was slower, we moved slower around than we do now. And it was a longer, it was 24 and a quarter or something, but we're not actually from here. And then he started researching on humans, and then he came out to find out that our biological temperature was not right for this planet. This planet was actually hotter than what would be considered the perfect temperature for humans to work in. Well, he didn't know about Mars at the time. He didn't know that Mars was 24 and a quarter hour day. And he didn't know that its optimal temperature was 73 degrees 55 million years ago. He didn't know any of that. We found that out later on. Then it all started making sense. His numbers fit into Mars's rotation and its optimal temperature. But we're humans. We live on Earth. We don't live on Mars. And these bodies here wouldn't live on Mars. We're not designed to live on Mars. So maybe we did a long time ago. But today's humans, who might have been from Mars at Grays because they're linky. They're all cartilage and their arms real long. And somebody there, so we wouldn't see, like we have stairs here. So our body's designed to walk up the stairs. On Mars, you wouldn't need stairs. You would just jump from floor to floor to floor to floor. It'd be easy. It wouldn't even take much of an effort to go up 10 feet by just pushing off the floor. So there's no reason for that. And there's a lot of things our bodies aren't designed for. That light gravity, our bodies are designed for a 1G environment, not a half a G environment. And we'd be a lot stronger there. We'd be mini superheroes because we could lift up the cars and bottom of cars.
I'm going to blow people's minds with information on this. And I'm going all the way back to DNA and what we share with everything on this planet, are these nucleoids and it's just the pattern of nucleoids can create anything you want. It could, we're talking about genes, DNA, what a gene does. I mean, it's just really interesting. But when Noah went for his voyage, they said he went through the waters. He didn't go over the waters. He went through them. He left. There was 8 people on that ark, right? And I have a CIA report when they mapped out Mars, where the guy talks just exactly about this ship that left, that there was a geological problem on Mars. They had to go somewhere else. They were waiting for someone to come back who had already left. And what did he leave with? He left with pairs of genes to all these creatures. So when the planet they were going to, and they said it was like hot and volcanic. I said the only difference between that planet and Mars is that there was vegetation on the planet they were going to. So you tell me, put that together with the story of Noah. And I mean, I can read specific Bible verses where, his sons were the father of men. I mean, it started with Noah and then his grandfather, Methuselah. Really cool stuff, though. But Methuselah's father was Enoch.
That's right.
And from the stories of Enoch, they tried banning him from the Bible, man. They didn't like what he was all about, right? But a lot of people say he was from where? Not from here. He wasn't local. So really cool. I think the whole thing is cool. I don't know.
It's interesting.
But it would make more sense than the original stories. I don't know.
A lot makes more sense than the original stories.
Yeah, well, that's that.
That's
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
So, right there.
But it'll be fun to talk about. That's next week. This Tuesday, tomorrow, I have Sherry Breeden coming on from Lunar Paranormal in Virginia. Going to talk about her. She has a cat rescue that when they do events, they donate part of the proceeds for the cat rescue.
Ooh, nice.
They go around the town getting the cats, the feral ones off the streets and putting them in homes,
I like
loving
it.
homes. Yep. So it's really cool.
I like it. We do that here also.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They use the front veranda. We have a colossal veranda, and the church across the street has a feral cat program, and we let them use it for their cat houses so the cats can be dry and warm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Catch release programs, that sort of thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, put it back out in the wild so they can eat the bugs and stuff. They're good for that. A friend of mine said, well, you shouldn't do that to cats. I'm like, cats are naturally wild. They like living outside. I said,
Yeah, the coyotes like them too. It's great.
Yeah, big cat take on a coyote. Pack of cats will take on a coyote. They'll jump on them. I tell you what I seen the other day that was hilarious. I was kind of scared at the same time. Chihuahua's out running in the yard. Coyote jumps out of the wood, grabs the chihuahua, takes off the chihuahua. Rottweiler came out of nowhere, took out the coyote.
That's right. I saw that.
And brought it back. He was like, you ain't taking my chihuahua. There's another one where there's a big gray cat out there. Comes up, I think it was going to grab the kid. And the cat just leaped on its head, man. It was like, this ain't happening on my watch. I was like, I tell you what, that coyote, when that Rottweiler hit that coyote didn't know what the hell to think. He was like,
it was not his day.
You've got so much aggressive nature down there, man. Like, we're from the north. We don't we see a deer and it kind of darts away, You got stuff that just wants to eat you. It kind of just take over.
A lot of things
carry your kids away.
It's not the things that want to eat you got to worry about, though. None of that. Like gators and bears and pandas. You got to worry about none of that. What you got to worry about is them little black widow spiders or those brown recluses. Man, they got some deadly little diamondback rattlers. Things that you don't think
around here, but they hide. It's cold around here.
Yeah, they don't hide down here. They bite you down here. They're like, hey, look at that stupid human walking around here. Let's go recluse their ass. They're dangerous too, and I mean black widows you get down here, but if you grow up down here, you get used to stuff like that. You pay attention, water moccasins and stuff like that.
It's like Australia, except it's hot and
got
dry.
An Australian in the chat. I was just thinking that we got an Australian in the chat.
To all of my Aussie friends down there, happy Wednesday? No, it's happy Tuesday.
Because people in Australia,
she said,
they laugh at our spiders. They generally they got the same ones, but theirs are like 15 times bigger.
Yeah, 15 pounds be more like it. But everything down there is insane, So
throw another shrimp on the bobby.
But I know we got to go, so we're going to start out. We're going to start out with Michelle. Michelle, tell them where they can find you on during the week and what you're up to and why you're haunting the North Canadian country.
Well, from what Canadian country? Do you mean Canada, the country?
I meant you are haunting the northern part of Canada.
You're international.
I am currently in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Southern Ontario, in the country of Canada. Anyway,
The
you
planet
can
of Canada.
you could find me on Wednesday evenings and Thursday evenings on the Outer Realm with myself and my bubbly little co-host Amelia Pisano, 8 to 10 Central, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. And you can find Joe and I on the Gray Zone Uncensored Saturdays, 5 to 7. Is that right?
5 to
Central and
7,
6
yes,
to
ma'am.
8.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
6 to 8 Eastern.
With an unusually large audience that got lucky last people. I gotta say this before I let somebody else go on. When we published the Grey Zone, now last week it published that because we had all these video venues, so it's like a mad dash before it goes up for sale.
We're like, take the worst time on the whole bloody week.
Yeah, and then last week we had like 131 plays before we could even take it down. I was like, get the hell out of here, people. Get off this thing. We're happy, but we're ready to go get it on YouTube. And it's good video. And now it's on Yard Stream, so you can see pretty much this right here. But who next? Michael, go ahead. You next.
Discovery Paranormal, 8 o'clock Eastern, every Tuesday night. And the Red Pill News every Thursday. All news, all the time. Take the red pill and burn through the lies. Whee!
We'll let Dell go next since he's the after show after Michael.
Yes. I'm at 9 Eastern Tuesday nights. The Delicious Recipe. We talk about mystery, conspiracy, and world issues. And tomorrow, I think I'm going to be looking at the reality and cost effectiveness of going green.
Well, that ought to be interesting. It should definitely be interesting. Laura, what the hell? Something started talking to me. Sorry, guys.
Thank you. First of all, I'm going to remind people that actually Dell and I are going to be doing a show together next Monday. We do this every season, pagan season, with a favorite guest of ours, Varla Ventura. So I'll have to remind you, Joe, but it's a 3-hour show. It'll be, I guess, following the paranormal show. We usually do 3 hours together for it. So I'll talk to you about it to remind you.
Yeah, just remind me. We just got to make this one end on time.
So, because we had that book before we switched the Delicious Recipe. And I'm the host of the Angel Rock. I'll be up next at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, or 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. And on my show, we cover all aspects of the paranormal, I say, and that's anything that's not covered in the regular mainstream, if you will. You do everything. Tonight, as I mentioned earlier, I have Lois T. Martin coming on from New York. She's actually very well known around the world. She does quite a bit of teaching. She's got books out there. She's a numerologist. Stay tuned, because she's going to talk about her work, and then we're hoping she'll have some time to do some readings. She just needs your birth date and your name, and she gives you what she calls a soul report. And then I will be back on Tuesday night with my PIC, or partner in crime, Seraphine Hurley, with Tripping the Void. And that's from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Seraphine's the other alien in the network.
Whatever we want. So I have an idea for tomorrow's show, but I got to run it by her first. So you'll just have to stay tuned.
Yes, we have two female aliens in the network. One is affectionately known as Bubbles the Gray, and the other one is Seraphine Hurley. Just so y'all know.
Yeah.
And we don't want to nickname Seraphine because she might blow us.
Bubbles is gonna kick your ass. You keep that shit up.
Seraphine last week had everybody laughing on Tripping the Void, because I always tease her that she says she's so big and bad that she said something in answer to the fact that don't let your Pomeranian loose because she might eat it. She wouldn't, but
There we go.
off.
Man,
Oh.
he isn't. Sounds to bopped or something. That was
Sounds like
weird.
we've got aliens.
Sounds like underwater.
It was one of the internet.
That's good. So that's that. You guys all hear that too? Because I've been checking this out all night there. I thought my computer was screwing up, or I can't hear any of you guys there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it in, see if it makes a difference.
You sound like you're in.
We can all hear. Watch down. Let me see. Remove your ass. Hold on. We're gonna do like this, and I'm gonna kick you from the studio. You kick, baby. Get out, biatch. Now. Did y'all hear that?
Yep.
Michelle's up there. She ain't saying that. She's supposed to be here. She's in evil mode. I heard her. She's in evil mode. All right, we're gonna get out here, guys and girls. We're gonna see if Dell pops in and see if we can. I do like all these little gadgets on Yardstream. I can put the host back to the thing when they disappear,
StreamYard.
when they're being bad. I can put them in the background thing.
Your video is wonky, man.
There's all kind of wonkiness going on. Actually, there's some weirdness going on. Actually, it's showing. It's saying, oh, there it goes. Now it's saying the connection's good. It said it was unstable for a minute there. That means more things to scream at the cable company about. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Coming up next is the Angel Rock with Laura Lee. If y'all looking for me, I'm here all the time. I'm not real hard to find. Just type in my name or go over to United Public Radio's home site, and all the shows are listed there. And they're not in alphabetical order. They're just in. They're not even listed in which are the top rated shows. But the top rated shows are usually in the top 8 or 9 shows. So yeah, you can check it out up there. And Christopher, no, News on the Flip Side is not on the air anymore. I have not found a female host that can keep up with me. Actually, we're going to do it with 4 hosts anyway. But no, right now it's hard. Eventually, no, it's just a hard thing. And the last one I kept up when we died, so that's it's a tough thing. It's all.
Let's just do a mystery.
I'm insulted.
Well, you don't want to do politics. You can keep up with it. You just don't want to do politics.
No, I can. I just don't like it.
That's what I said. I had no doubt you could keep up with me.
I like it.
There you go.
We're training Laura Lee, by the way. So eventually she'll be as good as Stephanie. But she's a host in training. What do you mean, Brian? What do you mean? What do you mean it's insulting? It's not insulting. Laura Lee's got potential. Hey Jennifer, how you doing? No, she got potential. We just got to get her moving a little bit from some of them conspiracies. That's all. She likes to torture me. She likes to torture me. I'm telling you, she does it on purpose, people. She just wants to torture me. And we still ain't got Dell back. Dell, come on back so we can get out of here.
Where'd he go?
I kicked him out because I wanted to see if we could get a better connection, but I don't think it was him. I didn't see this little connection button up here until a few minutes ago. It popped up on my screen and said. It was being wonky. Now, like you said, but now it went back to being normal. It says everything's stable. So we definitely had a little internet glitch somewhere along the line. But this thing seemed to hold up really sturdy through the glitch. So that was nice to see. That's better than OBS would have definitely dropped us on a glitch like that. Yeah, it's storming here too, Jennifer. We get ready to turn this over to Laura Lee. We're going to give Dell a chance to get back.
Phone number from you as soon as we get off because my guest.
Are we doing Skype tonight?
No, well, if you want, but she's gonna call us. So if you want to do Skype, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I don't think you can call into here.
No, okay. So is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's why we keep both systems. That's all. Just tell me. That's all I know which one to go.
Okay,
on.
so you want me to give her the number for Skype then?
But anyway, we'll get that in a second.
Okay.
Guys and girls, we're gonna get out of here and behave. Michelle and Laura Lee's got to go let their men out of the closets now and give them some water and stuff, fresh air and shit. And you know, they both got good old men. They treat them right. I mean, I've watched Michelle's cooking dinner, bringing food, comb her hair. I mean, God, man, I'm kind of jealous. You know? I'm thinking, hey, dude, you need somebody else? I'm free.
Doing the cooking.
I
don't know, man. You got storms moving through your area.
Before I go on, I gotta say, all of our Canadian hosts are real good sports about this because I pick on them constantly. No, I do. I'm very bad about picking on them. I mean, it's gotten to be a thing where the whole station knows that there's a Dell fund now. I mean, and we've had other hosts now.
I even made a meme for him. I made you guys a whole.
That's right. So you see.
With the
oh no, we pick on. Oh no, you mean Bubbles? Oh no, Bubbles don't escape this. Oh no, I pick on Bubbles too. But don't think she gets out of this. She's just not here tonight. That's all. But if she was, she'd be getting picked on too. Oh, she's the worst. She keeps some man locked up. I mean, instead of feeding, she rolls up like a manicotti and throws it at him. I was like, damn, that's just cold, man. I mean, her manicotti is pretty good from what I understand.
Depends how hungry you are.
At all.
Depends how hungry you are.
Ladies and gents, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We got to go now. Hope everybody really enjoyed the show tonight. Yes, Glenn. Every now and then we get food tracked. Even my wife had to come tell me something about talking about food earlier. That's like, but it happens sometimes. But everything else, the show was really good. So I enjoyed. Be sure you go catch last week's. Apparently, between the live broadcast leak and the archive, it's over 1 million plays now, 435,000 just on the archive. So go check it out. And it was a pretty stable show. Everybody's getting better, and this really gives us more control, so we're not really talking over each other and other issues. But hey, it takes a little time to get a good crew together. But to Jennifer and Dell and everybody and everybody else that was in the room, Amanda, great seeing all of y'all. To Zach, I seen you up there early, and I seen that Justin was in there. Y'all, look, we have this for y'all to use. Now y'all can find this on Twitch and Twitter. Now Twitter, I don't know what's going to go on with Twitter. Real quick before we leave, Periscope. We're on Periscope right now, but I hear they're going away in like 2 weeks. So they keep saying you can go on Twitch. So we're going to see how that's going to be. Now coming up next, Laura Lee's going to be in Skype, so you're not going to find us in this venue, but we will still be on YouTube, so you can find us over there as well. And starting week after next, you will also find us on BitTube and YouTube, but they will be on different systems. So if you want to participate in the chat, you're going to have to be on one of these 8 to participate in the chat.
And the only reason we're on Skype is because my guest is calling in. That's the only reason why. So,
no, but it doesn't matter, guys. That's why we have 2 systems. So because we're going to have guests.
There's a way you can do it here, because when I did a show on someone else's show, they had a call in, and it calls right in on the screen. You see their little icon, you see the number, and they were able to speak to us. You just have to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see how it works. Yeah, because it's all pretty up here right now. Oh, I got to say, when I put this in full screen, it's really nice looking. Everybody's looking good. That's like, damn, except for Mike. The rest of us are sexy beast people. Anyway, guys and girls, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight and putting up with our foolishness. I hope you really learned something tonight. If you have any arguments about standards of evidence or any ideas that might make it easier on all of us out there doing research, feel free to drop us a line and let us know what you think, because we cross a lot of different areas on research tonight and standards of research and how this could be convincing. And like we said early in the show, as far as a court of law, any of this can be proven. But when you get into standards for science, it's a whole different thing. So
Even
guys
OJ
out there, find us some more information.
Even
Good
OJ,
night.
come on, man.
Yeah, OJ was the greatest. Man, OJ, I can tell you, if y'all want, I'll do a show. I'll tell you who killed her. I know who killed her.
Who did?
OJ. I can't tell you right now. We have to do a special on this. We can't even give that kind of information out for free, man. Come on. But I'll tell you after we go off here in a second. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to United Public Radio, Paranormal Talk, and to all the great hosts that joined us tonight. Thank you. Until next week, have some fun. Enjoy your lives, people. Oh, and I got Giovanni on talking.
Bye, y'all.
Aliens this Wednesday. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Ding, 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 ding.